Hello, Scouty Paws. I'm just pulling open my YouTube. Give me a second. Sorry, I'm not seeing anyone over there. Hello, Nox over on YouTube. I am going to be, over on Twitch. I am going to be on YouTube in 1 second. Right, there we go. I am over and I see you guys on YouTube. I hope you're all having a good day. I'm sorry it took me a second. Sorry, I don't know why that took me so long. Hello, Replayed Co. Hello, Lastix. Hello, Tenbronitis. Hello, Minifini. Hello, Marcus. Hello, Praxu. Hello, Hidden Iron. Hello, Nagok. Hello, King Alex. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having nice days. I am a little tired today. I think it's just getting back into the swing of working a lot. Will you debate Chris K live? I watched his stream the other day and he was talking some shit about you. I don't know. I'm scared of that guy. He's tough. He's tough with it. And I heard he can bench press hundreds of kilos. Hello, Marie. Hello, Leona. And hello, everyone else. Hello, Munchian Enjoyer. Hello, Joel. We move. Yeah. Clive doesn't care about us anymore. Of course I do. Of course I do. That's not true. Christian Hansen. Is that your real name? How is this 4 p.m.? It's like 4:07. Wow. That is crazy. I don't know how I got so... Oh, I do know how I got so delayed. I was fixing the blind. The blanket that's over the window. I was putting it up. Good afternoon, Comfy. Hello to all the Twitchers. But yeah, I was working, so I was like, why was I delayed? Because I came up more than enough on time, but yeah, it took me a while to get the blind back up. Hold on. Chris, I hopped in here a few months ago about lifting. I hit my first 183 kilo deadlift today. Why did you do 183 instead of just 180? I'm only just wondering as to like why. But nice, congratulations. That's a great lift. I've never actually deadlifted over 160 kilos, and I deadlifted that when I was really quite young actually. But now I don't even think I could. Actually, I probably could. I just don't deadlift at all anymore, but congratulations. What do you think of a 10-to-1 pay ratio within a given company? All the talk on Twitter today because the Green Party. I mean, I saw a little bit of talk about it. Better than things being proposed by most people, I would say. It sounds like a good idea, but I don't know how viable it is, and I don't know how, like, whether they would ever actually implement it. I don't know. Feels like probably one of the less important economic policies of them as opposed to nationalisation of things. Like, I would say, I just think that one of the key things that has to happen in the UK is you have to have rail renationalisation. Oh. Sorry, I just want to give you an example of trying to cover the news. So apparently there was an extension of the ceasefire, and this person is now saying, Trump on Iran, we could take out their bridges, power plants in 1 hour. The US has not agreed to an extension of the ceasefire, but all of this had begun from US-Iran agree in principle on extending truce, AP. US-Iran gave in principle agreement to extend truce, AP. Iran Bahrain. For now, extending the ceasefire is not approved. Iran's foreign minister spokesperson says reports about ceasefire are not confirmed. It's amazing. You're going to... So, Joel says that you're on a panel to go and see Avi Schleim talking about the failure of the Oslo process. Well, nice. Enjoy. I hope that that's interesting. I'm sure it will be. I've never seen Avi Schleim personally, but I'm sure it'll be really interesting. And yeah, it is an anti-Semitic cartoon. I'm sorry, it's the wonders of browsing a platform owned by Elon Musk. You tend to find some pretty interesting things. I think most people are missing the point of the 10-to-1 wage thing is to find a balance between raising and lowering wages versus paying an extremely high minimum or an extremely high maximum. Yeah, I think I guess that's actually a good way to look at it, that it's about finding a balance. I think it's probably one of the less important policies of the Greens, I'd say. Yeah, I'd say the more important policies of the Greens are things relating to like nationalisation of industries and such. But yeah, still, yeah, that makes sense. Hold on. Chris, hope you're well. Yeah, I am pretty well. I am pretty well, no complaints. Hold on, just gotta check something. I hope there's no politics in here today. No, I promise there won't be. And yeah, realistically, I guess you need more than like 25k, but if you think about a company where a CEO is earning 250k and the minimum earned there is 25k, it's not really that outrageous, is it? And taxing wealth. Indeed, yeah. I mean, the Greens propose... Look, I'm not enough of an expert economist. I'm not. And I wanted to read more about this. I just keep getting swept up by reading about other things. Such as this. I like this one.
You told Morgan Stanley that Twitter could be worth $200 to $300 billion under your ownership.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I may have said that.
Did you feel that at the time?
I thought there was a lot of untapped potential.
You told me...
I like how Elon Musk's entire career is just built on making promises of which he constantly fails to deliver on, and is probably just committing some kind of fraud. Elon Musk. Hold on. Elon Musk deposition. Is this thing available, or how do people have like clips of it? And oh no, he took the wrong drugs. He's always taking funny stuff. I've never seen the Doge depositions. I've just seen clips of it, but... No politics here, only Hetalia discourse. What the hell is Hetalia? Gonna cover Sneeko getting punched. I don't know if I could show that on YouTube. I remember when the riots were happening in the UK and there were all these, like, shitty TikTokers trying to build careers about it. And one of the things that they do is they'd like close their TikTok screen and leave their camera on, and they go, oh my god, you can't see this on TikTok, I can't show this, oh, you gotta come over to Twitch to check it out. Maybe I'm gonna start doing that with YouTube. I'm gonna show a video of Sneeko getting punched. Yeah, I mean, so I think Sparrow Duckbird just put it well. Sneeko got punched. That's the whole topic covered. Yeah, Sneeko got punched. I don't know why he got punched. He just got punched in New York, so tough for him. I find the clavicular thing more interesting. I'm going to be honest. Like, if I was to pick, well, I have picked one. I'd rather cover clavicular because, one, it doesn't take much time. Two, there's slightly more heft to the story, and more importantly, he's just like a really miserable character. But quickly, I want to see whatever Elon Musk is up to here. Check Twitch chat. I am checking Twitch chat. Who on earth is Struggle 4? First time chat raider. Wow. Thank you guys. Thank you. I love burgers. Thank you for the subscription. Wow. Why are there so many? What is going on with the raid? Wow, incredible. Thank you. I don't know who struggle_4. Who is struggle_4? Crazy. But thank you, all of the new Twitchers commenting. Hetalia is an anime that anthropomorphizes countries in the period of the 1930s to 1940s.
When did you conduct the analysis?
Shortly after the acquisition.
Did you use outside data scientists to perform this calculation?
No, we could do internal analysis.
Okay. And who at...
What on earth is called... Love your work, Chris. Why are there so many... Sorry, I'm just quite obsessed with the... Sorry, I'm just quite obsessed with this Twitch raid. It says that I still only have 40 viewers, but it doesn't feel like there are 40 viewers over there. Oh, why are there 500 viewers? Why are there 500 viewers? Sorry, there are 500 people watching me on Twitch. What on earth? Sorry, YouTube chat. I got a raid of 500 people. How did I get a raid of 500 people? That's incredible. Well, thank you to the 500 people who are watching. Now my trick is I'm going to push an ad. That's going to be my trick. 500 of you are going to watch a gambling company ad. That's what I've been paid to do, send you to All Start Gambling. Of course, that is a joke, and I am not doing that. I'm assuming the person raiding me is also a big fan of Elon Musk, because that's what this stream is about. We're checking out this guy. I really like this guy's vibe. Well, you know what? Maybe instead of just watching boring Elon Musk clips, I should try and cover something interesting so as to retain my 500 newfound members. Why are there so many people? Just wow, that is bizarre. I love burgers. Those were the days. Were you here for the mic gate? I mean, yeah. Someone just subscribed or something. I don't know. I don't know. There's too much happening. Oh my god. Sharpie Diesel, thank you for becoming a member over on Twitch, or a subscriber over on Twitch. Christ almighty. Sorry. There are so many people just commenting. Now we all hate Elon. What the hell? So glad you're on Twitch. Well, thank you for subscribing. I'm enjoying it over there as well. They're here for the burgers soundbite. Yeah, I'm glad they are. I'm glad they're enjoying it. It's crazy. By the way, thank you for pushing me towards being allowed to get a partnership on Twitch. I'm not just overstimulated, it's just like, it's really hard to focus on two chats. I wish is there some like app that combines them? But then again, it would just be spammed right now. I love burgers! I love burgers! I love burgers and living in Israel! I do really enjoy that soundbite. Henry, thank you for putting that together. And Sharpie Diesel, thank you for the goated gift of 10 subs. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Yeah, got it. Sorry, it's just... I don't know what's going on. I apologize to the YouTube channelers. Is that a New Yorker? I am most definitely not from New York, no. Hello, Thigh-Fi. Hello, everyone. There is a way to combine both. Oh, brilliant. I love burgers! I love burgers! I love burgers and living in Israel. Sophie, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. I'm making it touch less loud. Probably not right now. I think Henry would have to do that because it's kind of a bit of a problem right now. Yeah, I'm an Englishman living in New York. Thank you so much for the gifted, Sophie, as always. Thanks for supporting the stream. And by the way, I'm about to hit 2,000 followers over on Twitch, which is kind of crazy. I had like 1,500 a few days ago. I mean, being raided at least passes a bit of time. I'm just kind of a bit confused. It's just really strange. Who actually raided me? Are they like someone I know? Struggle 4. I don't know them, but thank you, Struggle 4, for the raid. Very kind. Right, okay, speaking of, let's cover something. So, in case you didn't hear, or in case anyone hadn't, Marcus from Havana. Oh, thank you. Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much to Marcus for Havana. Chris lives in Bushwick with a non-binary a roommate. Yeah, that's the kind of American life, isn't it? Hell for Michelle. Thank you so much for the gift.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Thank you so much for the gifted membership over on Twitter, Michelle. Thank you so much. And Sean, enjoy the membership that you have just been kindly gifted. Anyway, sorry, this is the news story. So people were asking, do I care about Sneeko being punched in the face? I mean, obviously it's not a good idea to just go and punch people in the street. In fact, I think that that's kind of a bad thing. But the clavicular story just undeniably is the far more...
La boo-boo.
Thank you, the worst, Emily. The clavicular story is just undeniably the more interesting of the two. So in case you didn't know, last night, Clavicular, everyone's favourite look-smaxer, had some kind of overdose on something. There is a video of him like having a seizure, which I'm not going to show on stream because as much as Clavicular may be a racist prick, he's also like very young, and I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't show it on stream anyway. I'm definitely not showing that on stream. Anyway, just got home. That was brutal. All of the substances are just cope trying to feel neurotypical while being in public. But obviously that isn't a real solution. The worst part of tonight was my face descending from the life support mask. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a whole culture of just a streaming platform that kind of encourages you to do more and more extreme things to appease your very strange audience is, to me, just, I don't know, something that I would never, ever, 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 ever want to be, something that I would never want to be doing. And I feel like one of the most indicative videos of who Clavicular really is the one where he says that you are meant to be miserable.
The thing that I prioritize is like being driven, having like a...
By the way, he's also very stupid is something else I want to note. And his face has descended. He has a mask on it.
Purpose.
No. He's got a mask on his face.
Being ambitious. It's like, not a lot of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis are like the most enjoyable. Like, doing work isn't enjoyable a lot of the times. But it's just something that...
I like how his work... I'm sorry, if my job was
It
like...
is utterly ridiculous.
Sitting around and doing nothing, I think I probably would enjoy that to some extent. If I spent my time, I don't know, hanging out in the mall with the Wang Half Groiper and the Asian Mogger, and that was my job, that'd be a really nice job. Nox, thanks for the gifted membership over on... Thank you for the gifted membership over on YouTube. Thanks for supporting the channel. But yeah, I don't know. If I was hanging out with the Wang Half Groiper and the Asian Mogger, I think that'd be a great way to spend the day.
Like, needs to be done. Like, going to the gym, it's not like an enjoyable thing for me, but I do it anyway. So,
by the way, that is an insane statement. I don't know why you'd go to the gym if you don't enjoy it. Like, at points where I haven't enjoyed the gym in my life, I've stopped going and then realized I enjoy going again. Like, sure, it's part of my life and I feel like sort of a duty to go, but that's only because I sit at a desk way too much. So walking around, being active and lifting weights, it feels like quite important. I feel like that's something quite significant. Something that I enjoy doing. I have no idea what the fuck you just said, Chris. What did I say? What about the Wang Half Groiper?
well, I have like no regard for like my happiness. Like, that seems like a very like immature idea.
Why is that immature?
To prioritize like being happy.
I'm not saying that you need to prioritize it to assess it, but you can still assess it without it necessarily being a priority.
But it's just like happiness as an idea. Like, men are like supposed to be like happy. I don't really think.
Why are men not supposed to be happy?
Who are these two men? By the way, you're talking about clavicular looking old. This man here simultaneously looks like a fucking baby as well as an adult. His face is crazy. This guy looks pretty crazy too. But this guy in particular looks like a baby mixed with an adult's face. Very interesting looking character. But, I mean, obviously people are meant to be happy, and that is not a childish thing.
Because life is hard, and
Can't you enjoy difficult things?
not if you want to succeed to the highest level that you possibly could.
Does a man need to succeed to the highest level that he can?
No, they don't need to do anything, but I certainly want to.
What on earth is the Iced Coffee Hour podcast? Like, what happens on the Iced Coffee, Iced Coffee Hour podcast? He kind of looks like a lesbian, and I respect that. Okay, I mean, I see it. What do I need? Iced Coffee Hour podcast. Is this a popular podcast? This podcast has 1.5 million subscribers. What? Who is watching this? How Sophie Rain makes $100 million per year. $100 million per year. Don't fuck with me, Grant Cardone. Oh, Jesus Christ. What is this? Who is watching this? They confronted Dave Ramsey. I think they're finance bros. But I mean, what is this? What is this? How have I never heard of a YouTube? I mean, sure, there's a lot of things I've never heard of with 1.5 million subscribers. I'm sure, probably even bigger ones. But like, I don't know. How have I just totally unaware of the existence of such a great podcast that I will now be basing my life around? I don't know. This whole thing though about clavicular just being like, be miserable, kind of is true, right? If you want to be if you want to actually succeed in like under capitalism's demand of being like, I don't know, an incredibly wealthy person, which Clavicular seemingly wants to, although he doesn't apparently care about money maxing. I don't know why he's working all the time, but he, you know, you completely just have to submit and give up happiness in favor of just doing some fucking shitty job you hate. I get scared knowing people out there just listen to and trust people because they are on a podcast. Yeah, you should check out the No Politic Here podcast with Chris Kunzler and Isaac Zale of the Overzealots channel. We do that, and you should listen to us. And basically, once you're done listening to us, that's it. That's all you need to listen to. All you got to do is just listen to us, and that's everything. I'm so bad at recognizing bots. Made me feel very unk, to be honest. Which bot? Which bot? The one that was in here a while ago. 14-year-old boys love this shit. Is that actually what they do, though? They're just slum landlords. Big fans of Walter Rachman. Shameless plug. Indeed, it is a shameless plug, but who gives a shit? It's a great plug. What a transition. But yeah, I mean, I just find Clavicular a lot more interesting than Sneeko getting punched. But what I will say is, someone pointed out, did you know that Sneeko just did a call with George Galloway? And George Galloway, if you don't know, hold on. So, George Galloway, obviously, if some of you are familiar with him, he has funny sound bites, but he's a bit of a loon. He really likes Saddam Hussein, I think. Anyway, so George Galloway, was beaten up by Neil Masterson, a convert to Judaism, and suffered a bruised rib and severe bruising on his head. So George Galloway, who just did a call with Sneeko, George Galloway, Sneeko interviews George Galloway. I think Sneeko became a socialist after talking to George Galloway, potentially. Is that the
Then we found out.
Is that what happened? Right and wrong, not left and right. What a profound talking point from the man and the master that is George Galloway. But yeah, so I feel that this may have been linked. But then, even more, Sneeko was uncovering the truths with Sneeko, Professor... No, wait. Alexander Duggan, I'll bring it up. Duggan?
Right.
It's no doubt that this is what led to Sneeko being punched. These kind of conversations. The Matrix had to take Sneeko down. Because they don't let you... Once they find out you're breaking the barrier between China and... when you're breaking the barrier between China, Russia, and America... Although Sneeko's Filipino, isn't he? That's when they come and get you.
Rather than just name calling, so saying, I'm a CCC spy, and Professor Dugan is a KGB spy, even though the KGB doesn't exist anymore. I think it's really important to have these transnational, international conversations where different perspectives are brought together.
And that is exactly why you had to be punched. Because Sneeko was breaking down the boundaries. He's been punched multiple times. Which one are we talking about? Sneeko got punched like yesterday. He just got dropped in the streets of New York.
And where there's rigorous debate. And unfortunately, people are so used to name calling. People are so used to ad hominem attacks. And we have to return to a tradition where ideas are given the proper space to flourish.
By the way, this Professor Zhang guy is such an idiot. What is he even saying?
And you do that by engaging in debate and discussion with people who you don't agree with, but who are open to debate and discussion.
Absolutely. I think this was, it's pretty interesting. This panel has a lot of different perspectives. And although we perhaps could have went a little more into eschatology, we did cover a lot of the points in the PowerPoint. I think there
How is this interesting? Who watches this? The KGB doesn't exist yet. Well, I assume the KGB does no longer exist. There will be a Russian secret intelligence service, but it's not the KGB, is it?
was a good summary of a lot of different world events and what's happening around, if you're representing Russia, if you're representing China, and over here if I'm representing America or Islam, whatever people want to say. I think this was a very interesting dialogue, and I appreciate.
Sneeko's a fucking idiot. Sneeko launched the career recently of one of the worst grifters out there. Someone who sells eugenicist, someone who literally sells eugenicist anti-Palestinian merch. This guy, Nick Matau, who has no motion, and then all of a sudden has a debate with Sneeko, and all of a sudden has a huge amount of people watching him. He just does TikTok debates. He's a horrible character. He's also someone closely in some way involved with, I don't know, some kind of Israeli intelligence stuff. I mean, I don't know if all of you saw that video of I don't know if all of you saw the video of Ashley St. Clair. She was talking about it. All of these right-wing government things, all of these right-wingers are basically just in group chats that sort their messaging. That's all it is. KGB was the only thing that survived the collapse, but as you said, it's no longer called the KGB, right? I mean, I don't know. My favorite YouTubers. I find this world, by the way, of pro-Israel YouTubers so fascinating because there are tons of them who get loads of views. There's a really idiotic one who I've asked to debate me so many times. Hold on. Sorry, excuse me. I'm trying to think of the name of this guy, but anyway, there are loads of idiots who just have huge views and like inexplicably. And also, to be honest, I think it's part of just this debate thing. Like if you just upload debates to YouTube, but I'm not doing that. Like really clickbaity debates. We have known for some time now. Known for some time about what? Sneeko's blazer is giving World Book Day costume. Okay, right. Sorry, I'm just looking at some of the stuff these guys are talking about. Alexander Dugin tells Sneeko why Islam is more widely accepted in Russia, even though Russia is a majority Christian nation. Hang on a second, hasn't Russia specifically cracked down on Muslims continually?
Think that Islam is more, it seems like from the outside in that Islam is more widely accepted in Russia than it is in America, even though Russia is far more Christian.
So first of all, we need to make a kind of difference because the Muslim population we have in Russia, they were Muslim from old age. So they were the members of our society, of our.
Yeah, I feel like this is just a bizarre thing to say. I don't know. I feel like it is not really all that accepted in inside of Russia. And that it's quite like a complex thing.
Country, and they didn't come.
I think that's probably the best way to put it, ten Brunitis.
From outside. They are our own
Is that his daughter? Is that Alexander Dugin's daughter? I don't really know much about Alexander Dugin. Yeah, it is his daughter, Daria Dugin, who was killed in... She was killed in a bombing, right?
Russian Muslims. So they lived here in Russia for ages, and they were the part of our society, our state for a long time. So they are Russian first and Muslim second. So they consider this loyalty to the Russia as the part of their identity. So they were not brought.
Yes, it is Dugin, but it is his daughter who was killed in a car bombing that was meant to kill him, I think.
Or converted. So they are normal Russian Muslims living here. That is their motherland, their fatherland, Russia, and they are loyal patriots. In absolute majority, they represent.
I don't know enough about Muslims in Russia, to be honest. To be honest, Russia's just not an area of expertise of mine. Right, anyway, I think that's enough out of these clowns for today. Poor Clavicular, though. I don't know, it is kind of sad. He's, he's such a young guy, and he's just spending his life overdosing and just doing insane shit. I hope he's okay. I hope my man breaks out of it and starts living his best life and doing better. And being happy instead of trying to grind out streaming. I was quite interested, though, speaking of clowns, in J.D. Vance being heckled yesterday quite a lot of times.
I certainly think the answer is yes, and I agree. Jesus Christ does not... I agree. Jesus Christ certainly does not support genocide. Whoever yelled that out from the dark, he certainly does not. I think that's pretty easy. I think that's a pretty easy principle. Okay, so here's a guy... Let me just say this. This is a guy...
By the way, this guy is so absolutely sourceless. Absolutely sourceless, this guy. I don't know. The idea that he is ever going to replace Trump is frankly insane. My ex was from Kazakhstan. They are like Muslims everywhere. I am one of they are the same as European or Middle Eastern. Russian and Chinese state finds it beneficial, ATM, to not be hostile to Muslims with their words and media. That's it. Makes sense, yeah. I don't know. I think, J.D. Vance's whole event just being so fucking empty is just insane. The notion that this guy would ever be able to replace Trump is really amazing. It feels like Peter Thiel has wasted so many years and so much money just on this man, just trying to build this man's career up. I don't know. I don't know.
Frankly, even when I disagree.
Like, no one is coming to watch this. Also, probably is that just it's doing shit. Hey, well, I won't be ostracized here, right? I get ostracized everywhere because I have bad empanada energy, someone told me. Okay, okay. I mean, depends how you conduct yourself. I mean, if you're going to say some of the stuff that bad empanada says on the internet, such as, like, I don't know, advocating for, like, Fed posting, maybe not the best idea. But, no. Oh, you used to be Yeet the Elite. That's fine. Hello, Yeet. Your energy, don't worry at all. Clavicle said Vance will get mugged by Gavin. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he will, but I think J.D. Vance will lose rather just because he's incompetent and because Trump is irreplaceable. Because Trump has this voice, this aura, this funny, odd way of conducting himself. Whereas, you know... Whereas J.D. Vance doesn't. He's quite like a strange guy. What's Fed posting? Just posting stuff that would probably get you in legal trouble. you know, like stuff that's illegal, basically. Cult of personality. I don't even know if you could just describe it as a cult of personality. I think it's kind of, in many ways, it's sort of more than that. It's Trump's, like, aura and who and what he is. Like, there's a reason that I was watching, I don't know if anyone's ever seen, I think it's called The Face of Another. Face of Another? Yeah, The Face of Another. It's a Japanese film from 1966, and at, like, one point, there's, like, interspersed German speeches. And I would hazard a guess that most people watching this would be able to hear and tell what Hitler's speeches and voice sounded like, but they wouldn't be for, you know, so many other world leaders of that time. It's because he has this voice, because he had this aura that he was, like, irreplaceable in many ways. It's like all of the people who say, oh, I don't know, in terms of what if the Nazis had been led by someone more competent? It never would have happened. It's like maybe if there was someone more competent in charge of a fascistic Burger Reich US government, then worse things would be happening. But that won't happen under Trump. And it's hard to replace someone like Trump. Like perhaps the more efficient I mean, Trump is delivering on a lot of horrifying fascistic things. But like, it's like Stalin. Stalin had a very quiet voice. I don't know what Putin sounds like. Actually, I feel like I have heard it.
Now for the last look. The world has... He certainly is not the shy and retiring type. That's why earlier this week, I was surprised to see this.
Not once. Surely, time has come to change this.
It was Putin asking very nicely and
he doesn't really have as much aura as you think he would.
Gently.
For someone who has ruled a country for so long.
The World Expo to be held in Russia in 2020, please.
But in all this time, Russia has not hosted the World Expo. Not once.
Having sat with him at close quarters, I was stunned by...
The thing is I probably couldn't tell it in German.
This Putin. He seems so soft and tame.
I don't think most people had not heard Joseph Stalin's voice until... most people had not heard Joseph Stalin's voice until the Germans invaded. Hold on. Sorry, until the war had broken out. Like a considerable amount of people. Most Russians hadn't heard. I've read this somewhere, but I can't remember where. True that during the height of span, most citizens had not heard him speak, particularly in the 1930s. Yeah. Most people hadn't heard him speak for quite a while. He had a surprisingly soft voice.
Perhaps it was because, uncharacteristically, he was speaking in English. Now, to be fair, at least he can speak English and quite well.
Completely free of charge.
Very...
What a strange cut. Stalin has a surprisingly weak voice as well. Like a surprisingly weak voice for what you'd expect. And is Putin actually that short? Is that true? I don't know. Most people in the USSR didn't have radio. Probably true, but he also didn't really speak publicly. Apparently, that's what I once read. I don't remember where I read it, and I don't just want to go off like what it says on fucking, Google AI overview. But I think a lot of people didn't hear him speak. I don't think he spoke all that much. That claims this smells of Orientalism. What do you mean smells of Orientalism? He didn't speak. Most Russians hadn't heard Stalin speak. Hold on. I can't remember where I read it, which is quite annoying. I don't know. He did have, he didn't really, I've heard that somewhere, but maybe you're right, smells of Orientalism, I don't know. What kind of voice did Lenin have? I don't know if I've ever heard Lenin speak. It's kind of crazy that you can hear, I think there's a, wait. It's kind of strange how many clips there are of people speaking. You can hear a clip of Sigmund Freud speaking.
I started my professional activity as a neurologist trying to bring relief to my neurotic patients under the influence.
No. That's not the claim, that the primitive Russians are unpolitical, that the regular people didn't listen to public debates. No. That wasn't the claim of what it was. It was the actual claim was that I was going to say clavicular. The actual claim was that just apparently he didn't speak that much publicly. What would Freud say about Freud's voice? I don't know.
Of an older plan. And find my own.
It is kind of crazy. There's a video of Virginia Woolf speaking as well, I believe. There's a recorded voice of Virginia Woolf, yeah, which just feels crazy. Freud was I don't think Freud was that stupid. I do not think Freud was that stupid at all. I think Freud was a very impressive philosopher in many ways. And I think psychoanalysis has a lot more value than people give it credit for. I am Sigma Freud. Very clever. Radios were rare in the USSR. It's not illogical. Interesting. Maybe that is the case then. I don't know. Because I've only read it in one place and I'm not an expert on Russia at all. Clavicular is living rent-free. Sean Paul, you've been looking cuter and cuter every time I come on here, Chris. Thanks for that one. TV and radio really changed who could succeed as a politician in the US. I mean, that's probably true. That's probably true. So if Russia wasn't developed in the 1930s, how would they have heard him in the 1940s? How would it have got out that he was speaking? I watched the Adam Curtis documentaries, and I believe Curtis. What did Adam Curtis say about Freud? Anyway, right, let's go cover some actual stuff, I guess. There was one other thing I wanted to pull up of JD Vance, but I've kind of forgotten it. Actually, no, I don't. Right, anyway, let's cover some news. Okay, right, actually, I know what I wanted to cover first. This. Israel's favorability under men amongst men under the age of 50 has now reached minus 47 points.
Shifted away from Israel. Look at this. Net favorability of Israel among men under the age of 50. In 2022, not too bad, but not too hot to...
Where did Freud spread that notion that in what work did Freud spread the notion that people were imagining that little girls were imagining being sexually abused? What did he spread that in?
Trot either at minus 3 points. By 2025, again, down we go, minus 22 points. That is a 19-point shift in just 3 years' time. But it gets even worse. Look at this for Israel. Minus 47 points. That's a 44-point shift away from Israel on the net favorability amongst young men who, of course, shifted massively into the Republican column back in 2024, and they have been shifting away from...
This whole segment is actually just fucking insane. That's kind of the first bit that I wanted to show. By the way, the fact that there are like still political parties who and about whether you should, I don't know, whether you should still support Israel or not is absolutely insane. Because it's obviously a vote winner.
And today we are running all the numbers on Israel's U.S. popularity problem. Israel is losing support here in the United States, even amongst Republicans. Take a look at this data. Take a look at this data amongst young Republicans. Look at this massive shift that we have had over just the last 4 years, the net favorability of Israel among Republicans under the age of 50. You go back to 2022, 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up for Israel amongst young Republicans. But by 2025, look at this. Already a 30-point shift away. Their net favorability.
Did you cover the Nazi Zio news? What are you talking about? The documents that came out? That is a weird. Grandma Caprio. Yes, I did cover it. I will cover it at some point. Yes, I didn't. I read it, but I haven't covered it. It is pretty crazy. You're talking about the Haaretz documents. That is crazy, though. I also feel like that's such a broad bracket because there are definitely loads of like 40-year-old to 30-year-olds included within that. I feel like once you go younger, like people who've been more influenced by social media rather than I don't know, podcasts or whatever the demographic split is.
Down to -2. Today, look at this, minus 16 points. That's an over 40-point shift in just 1, 2.
Like, it is incredible you reach a number at the age up to the age of 50. By the way, also why Tucker Carlson would absolutely rout fucking JD Vance, either JD Vance or what's his name, Gavin Newsom. He would absolutely rout them if he had a MAGA that was like distanced from, you know, distanced from Trump and also distanced from Israel. Because this would hoover up young men. And by the way, the way in which conspiracies about Israel spread now, I mean, there's quite a big game to be played there.
3, 4 years' time away from Israel amongst young Republicans. But that's not the only part of the Republican base where Israel is struggling. How about amongst moderate or liberal?
Where did he conclude that? In which piece of work did he conclude that?
Liberal Republicans. They make up about a third of the Republican base at this point in time. The net favorability of Israel with moderate liberal Republicans back in 2022, again, 2 thumbs up. You'll notice I do a lot of Siskel and Ebert references. I just really like them. At plus 26 points. Today, again, negative territory, minus 9 points. That's a 35-point shift in.
I mean, Tucker Carlson is a horrifying individual, no doubt. But, like, when it comes to Palestine, he is, like, light years ahead of, light years is not correct, is it? But he is a, oh, no, it is, yeah. He is just so far ahead of, Gavin Newsom, who can't call out Israel for doing genocide. I mean, I feel like Tucker Carlson would do that. It's also crazy that liberal GOP are more likely to support Israel.
Just 4 years' time with moderate liberal Republicans shifting away from Israel. And this, to me, gives you a good indication of why one of the more ardent critics of Israel within the Republican Party is actually, at this point, favored to win a competitive primary. You may know him, Thomas Massie. He, of course, is the representative from Kentucky's 4th District. He has been opposed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has endorsed his opponent. Pro-Israel voices are also opposed. Many of them have also opposed Thomas Massie. But at this point, look at this. His chance of being the Republican nominee, winning that Republican primary in Kentucky's 4th District, is actually more likely than not to occur. Look at this. According to the Kalshi prediction market at this point, a 71%.
I find these integrations fucking insane. What news outlet is this? Is this ABC?
Chance. But here's the thing. Again, I'm building blocks here. It's not just on the right. It's not just amongst Republicans where Israel is losing support amongst the unexpected places. How about among younger men? Younger men who were a key part of Donald John Trump's coalition back in 2024. They have very much shifted away from Israel. Look at this. Net favorability.
I don't like him saying Donald Trump's middle name. Do you think it's to try and equal out the Barack Hussein Obama? I think you're right. It is actually CNN. I don't know. Just seeing statistics like this, that among men under the age of 50, but perhaps the most exciting part of like how Israel is trying to cook up ways to respond to this is just by like sponsoring a ton of pro-Israel people to basically justify mass murdering children, which is never going to work that well. And also, and also claiming that everything to do with supporting Palestine is like an evil Soviet trick and lie.
Of Israel among men under the age of 50. In 2022, not too bad, but not too hot to trot either at minus 3 points. By 2025, again, down we go, minus 22 points. That is a 19-point shift in just 3 years' time. But it gets even worse. Look at this for Israel. Minus 47 points. That's a 44-point shift away from Israel on the net favorability amongst young men who, of course, shifted massively into the Republican column back in 2024, and they have been shifting away from Israel over the last 4 years. But here's the thing. You want to talk about unexpected, perhaps No number I have seen is more unexpected than this one, because when we talk about the Democratic base, right, and we talk about...
By the way, it's also kind of fucking wild how, I don't know, all of those crackdowns on campus did absolutely nothing. Like Biden's unequivocal support for sending police into UCLA because people were doing an encampment and letting like fascist pro-Israel people go and do attacks. I don't know, it just didn't work out. It didn't work well at all. It didn't work, and surprisingly it's had no positive effect. Even though those were libs and blue-haired woke people getting beaten up by the pro-Israel crowd and the police, it hasn't even had a positive effect on the men aged under 50.
Them being against Israel. That's been true amongst liberal and very liberal Democrats for a decent period of time. But now we're even seeing it among
No, I think it is plausible that men under the age of 50 were -3 on Israel prior to 2022. I think, in 2022, I think what kept Israel alive for the longest time was boomers. Like, there's been a huge shift in boomers. Like, a lot of old boomers, a lot of liberal boomers, or like more liberal boomers, are just really ardent supporters of Israel because they went to like a kibbutz one time in the 1970s. I met this lady once at a festival and she was just really anti-Semitic. She was like, I went to Israel in the 1970s back when it was good. And then she went, but now they've got a bad plan for all of us, not just the Arabs. And I was like, okay. And then she was like, have you ever heard of the Elders of Zion? You should check it out. It explains their plan. And I was like, okay, right. I was like, oh my, I was also around lots of children. I was working at said festival, so that was an interesting one. And net favorability of Israel is, you know, basically your opinion of Israel, what overall opinions are. And I would say talking about the Elders of Zion is definitely anti-Semitic, and also thinking that Israel's plans of like genocide and such extend well beyond the Palestinians. Like, it's mostly people in the region, and the only way you can get out of it in the region is if you become cucked entirely and give up all of your sovereignty in favor of, you know, love it for a little bit of American money. And you become, like, there was this whole debate about Egypt being a good model for countries in the Middle East. Egypt as a country gave up all of their prestige, all of their history, all of their ability to influence regional politics, to be ruled by a brutal dictator and to have an economic downturn under the same guy who signed the accords with Israel.
Moderate and conservative Democrats, because take a look at these numbers. I mean, this is a sea change. This is a sea change. Net favorability of Israel amongst non-liberal Democrats, that is, those who identify as either moderate or conservative. Back in 2022, Israel was on the plus side of the ledger.
Yeah, but Israel has no ability to commit genocide on people beyond, like, Palestinians and Lebanese people. Israel is just not going to be able to perpetrate genocide because it relies entirely on it relies entirely on support from America and also from, you know, Western powers who offer it legitimacy. Militarily, it's not really that powerful. There are 7 million people. How many Jewish people live in Israel? Is it what, like 8 million? 8 to 10 million? In Israel. The Jewish population of Israel is like barely that much bigger than the population of Jews in America. The percentage of the edible Jewish population that is living... So, wait, yeah. So, I mean, barely bigger. It is quite a bit bigger. So, in Germany, there are... in the US, there are 5.7 million Jewish people, and there are 7.4 million Jewish people in Israel. Israel does not have the power to do much for the rest of the world.
Give it one thumbs up at plus 3 points. Look at this. By 2025, minus 30 points. That's a 33-point shift in just 3 years' time. You think that's a big shift? How about...
I feel like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is an anti-Semitic text, no? I feel like it is one of the most well-known anti-Semitic texts. It details a Jewish plot for global domination. I mean, that's kind of anti-Semitic, no? Well, I mean, it is anti-Semitic. It's known as one of the most anti-Semitic texts.
Out now. Look at this. Among moderate conservative Democrats, the net favor of Israel.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty sussy one, just saying that it's not anti-Semitic. I've never read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, but all I've ever heard is that it is very anti-Semitic. Like it is an original text. Didn't the Nazis hand it out to youths? The only thing I will respond to is someone saying that it's the architect or archetype of anti-Semitism. Maybe, but I guess like anti-Semitism existed well before that. But are they not kind of doing global domination right now? I mean, global domination that the entire prerequisite of is, I don't know, being supported by the most powerful country in the world. Or the probably second most powerful at this point. La Boo. Cops tipped over a wheelchair user at the encampment at UNC and stepped on her with a portable barricade for what? To make young boys not support Israel at all. Yeah, I don't know. I've never read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, but it's an anti-Semitic text, no? Like, the person's argument was that on its own it is not anti-Semitic. Angel Shot, thank you for the $5 though. But I mean, it's just, yeah, what a fantastic attempt. China's passed the US. Yeah, I mean, I did see someone who was arguing like, well, the US will exist for many more years as a global power, but it remains to be seen. Aren't we low-key all anti-Semitic and anti-Christian? Like, don't we all think religion is made up? I mean, no, I don't think religion is entirely made up. I think it is a personal engagement with God, and I think it's to each their own, and I don't care to, like, kind of offend people's religions. Israel isn't really dominating anything. Pretty much all the USA uses Israel as an attack dog, so it doesn't have to take all the hits. I do agree with you, and I do think that there are an increase. One of the things I will say, though, is that, like, right now, you do have like an incredibly Zionist American president, and you had that before in Biden, and you have an incredibly pro-Israel British prime minister.
Israel down into the Sea of Galilee at minus 55 points. That's a nearly 60-point switcheroo in just 4 years' time. Now, why are we seeing these shifts? Why are we seeing the...
I've read more of Mein Kampf than I have of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
These shifts amongst Democrats, amongst Republicans, at least certain portions of the Republican electorate, and why are we seeing it among younger men who are a big part of Trump's coalition? It is because it is part of a larger sea change against Israel. I mean, just take a look at these overall numbers right now. The net favorability of Israel among all adults. In 2022, it was plus 13 points. I'll give that 2 thumbs up. Look at by 2025, minus 8 points. That's a 21-point switch in just 3 years. And now, the net favorability of Israel amongst all adults, minus 23 points. That's a 36-point change in just 4 years' time amongst all adults. Now, okay.
Why does Labour in the UK hate trans people? Well, because they just put their finger up in the air, and being kind of mean to trans people is something that they view as like a positive thing. They think it's like a great thing to tap into. And also because there are just quite a lot of right-wing bigots who are now very powerful in the Labour Party. That's why they're getting up. That's why they're getting up to it. That's it. So I haven't read any of it. I can still very decisively say it's shit. I've never actually like picked up and read. I've just read way more excerpts from that as opposed to the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Their expansion after Germany finally paid off their reparations to them. Israel started to really ramp up their expansion. When did Germany finish paying reparations to Israel? When did Germany finish paying reparations to Israel? Doesn't it still pay reparations? No. No, it doesn't. When did it finish paying reparations? What year did that happen in? Yeah, and I mean, the numbers against of people who don't like Israel are just going to keep pumping up and up and up. It's not going to go down. Pandora's box is opened. And by the way, people just, like, here's a fact told from Israel's history that now seems to be just underappreciated because there are so many people who are just maniacally in favor of posting themselves online, full-throated supporting Israel's genocide, and there is a small community of people who lap it up and it, like, create this self-feeding cycle. People do not like seeing children being blown up. People do not like seeing innocent people being blown up. This happened in 1982 with Lebanon. When Israel invaded Lebanon, Ronald Reagan didn't get mad at Menachem Begin because he was carrying out war crimes or atrocities. Menachem Begin was reprimanded by Ronald Reagan because he said, we are going to see American... Well, no, it's actually Morris Draper who said this, but he was talking about how it would be American bombs being dropped on the Middle East, and it was going to jeopardize relationships with other Middle Eastern countries, and because it was unpopular. And now you just have this thing of, like, a total lack of regard or care. A big part of this, by the way, is the Arab world also being... Well, I shouldn't say Arab world. Actually, no, I should. The Arab monarchies just being completely capitulated towards Israel. Like, that's it. The leaders of the Arab monarchies, the Gulf monarchies, didn't always used to be this way. They were never perfect. I'm not a monarchist. However, like, they once upon a time were not this way. We don't need to congregation. Okay, you're talking about. Look, I'm not like a theologian at all. I don't know. I think religion is people's personal engagement with God, and I think it's used for bad purposes. In the same way that, like, you know, then perhaps there is a positive kind of nationalism and patriotism that is about, like, I don't know, celebrating the like multiple facets of a country and the people that it's made up of. And, like, the way it actually exists rather than a misremembered past. But, yeah, like, I don't know, even then I'd still be like, it's used for horrifying ends. Much more than, like, you don't really see political nationalism very often used for something positive, aside from, like, I don't know, Palestinian or Kurdish nationalism, or, like, other people looking for more rights and an ability to exist as their own people. The current monarchies compared to King Faisal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, once upon a time they were. To be honest, MBS is bad, but I don't think that there is, like, I don't think that there is any worse example than the United Arab Emirates. I think that, like, the worst example of all of them is Mohammed bin Zayed, because I didn't even realize his father didn't even want military bases in his country, and now Mohammed bin Zayed literally spends his time. I'd highly recommend, if anyone has ever read it, go on WikiLeaks and look at what he was telling the Americans after 9/11. Some of the craziest shit imaginable. He is like the biggest Orientalist in the world. And their little man, Yusufa Taiba, who's the ambassador to Washington. And yeah, you're right. Religion is not the issue. Religion is just a personal engagement with God. That's what religion is. It is just one of the things cynically wielded to shield otherwise indefensible beliefs. Focusing on it as an issue leads down a dark road of bigotry and intolerance. Yes. And I mean, it's kind of like, you know, I was talking to these people, and one of the reasons I don't do TikTok debates is because people want to have debates about Islam, not a religion that I follow, not a religion that I grew up, like, understanding at all, but rather, like, people just spend their time doing the things that once upon a time people did about Jewish people. Like, you know what, if I want to have a debate with someone who's telling me about Quran verses that they find problematic, they obviously don't know shit about the Quran. They don't care about scholars or, like, scholarly opinion and debate about the Quran, which is, like, very rich and is across a multitude of different sects of Islam. I could just go and read the book Candace Owens recommends and just say incorrect and inappropriate things about religious like religious, the Jewish religion. In some cases, yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate that most people don't obey anything. Like, Jesus is the radical message of Christianity, which is radical love. And no, I've not sneezed yet. Do you actually think I was going to sneeze?
That's part of the reason why that we're seeing these groups within these shifts, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. But it's more than that. How about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which of course has been taking center stage over the past few years here in America, especially after the October 7th attacks and then Israel's response to it. Take a look here. I mean, this is a change. This is a change. Who Americans sympathize more with, the Israelis or the Palestinians? Back in...
By the way, can you actually believe one of the funniest things about someone like Ethan Klein and what he's actually become upset about is this. He could be pro-Palestine, so to speak, when most people sympathize more with Israelis. But now people sympathize with Palestinians more, and rightly so, by the way, of course, because one is subjected to an apartheid regime, one is subjected to genocide, a denial of, basic rights. When one of those people is denied, your sympathy should obviously lie with Palestinians. That's what people want to bring back. That's what people like Ethan want to bring back, liberal Zionists. They want you all to go back to having major sympathy with Israelis, which is obviously not going to go back.
2022, before the October 7th attacks,
I have no idea if this guy is a Zionist. I have absolutely no idea. Maybe?
It was the Israelis by 28 points. That would even climb into the 40s, 50s, depending on which polling you looked at in terms of who Americans sympathize with, the margin very much on the side of Israel. But look at where we are now. In 2026, Americans sympathize more with the Palestinians by an 11-point margin. That is a shift of nearly 40 points in just 4 years' time. And when you compare it to 2023, after the October 7th attacks, we're talking about what, a 50, 60 point change? My goodness gracious. This is the best position that the Palestinians have ever been in the minds of the American public. The Palestinians making history in terms of who Americans sympathize more with. But it is not just the Israelis.
I don't know if the Palestinians have so much made history in terms of all of this. I mean, one might say that Hamas's October the 7th attack is responsible for this. But what's perhaps like more important is Israel has just proven right what everyone said about them, that it was already proving right, but so nakedly and so obviously, and Western governments' use of repression to prevent people speaking negatively about Israel has of course inflamed this massively, because, like a country like mine has repressed pro-Palestine speech so much. The US did as well, whatever people may try and say. And it is amazing. The cognitive dissonance required to be a Zionist, you need to believe that mainstream media is not pro-Israel, that politicians are not pro-Israel, that everyone stands against Israel and has constantly constrained it. And I mean, most importantly, you need to believe that Israel can ever achieve this wonderful, perfect future for Jewish people by bombing and killing everyone. Their propaganda also only works on 60-year-olds. Yeah, and also the new propaganda that they're innovating is so moronic. I maybe there would be, if I could be bothered, or I still made long-term videos, long-form videos. If I did make long-form videos, I would talk about this. Their obsession with trying to link the Palestinian cause to being a Soviet proxy is the most insane. That is outrageous. That there is genuinely a large group of some of the more sophisticated Zionist propagandists who think that the Soviets apparently disseminating anti-Semitic texts to Palestinians is why Palestinians hate Israelis, or why the Middle East hates Israelis. And yeah, I mean, also, it's kind of interesting because obviously people have always been really racist, but Israel's largely one of Israel's strongest justifications is, and one of the justifications that Israel began with is the notion that it is an outpost of Western civilization. But when people actually see what Western civilization looks like, they don't like it, which is kind of funny because obviously Western civilization is is like a mass slaughter thing, like just mass slaughter and has been. Like people always forget, like, you know, they call, like Asmongold calls the Middle East and Africa like a bloody hellhole, a shithole, and all of these things. Which continent was soaked with the most blood in the 20th century? Oh my God. Wait. I'm surprised some of you have never heard the, like, this Soviet stuff. Alika Lebon does it. Nick Matau does it. Adam Louis Klein does it. Haviv Rettig-Gur does it, I think. Haviv Rettig-Gur I'm a bit less sure about. But the more sophisticated outlets like the Tablet and stuff that pretend to be like the thinking man's pro-Israel outlet, it's just a dogshit rag, really are obsessed with this Soviet thing. They're trying to push it because obviously it's a way to be like, actually, the only reason you've all been tricked by Soviet propaganda, basically. Alika Lebon is being paid to write a book about this.
Israelis and the Palestinian conflict, in which why we're seeing.
No. Europe would be the most blood-soaked continent because of the First and Second World War. Like, I don't think, like, the most deaths occurred during the First and Second World War, no? Jesus Christ, the weather outside is bad.
These shifts among all these different groups, and overall as well. It is because of the man who right now is the prime minister, the longtime prime minister of Israel, who's been prime minister, at least in parts, all the way back to my childhood. I mean, I think he was the prime minister when I was like 8 or 9. That is how long. And while I look young, I'm not that young anymore. But take a look at Bibi Netanyahu. Look at his net favorability rating here in the United States. In early 2024, he was on the...
No, I haven't heard the MR interview with the doctor in Gaza. What's MR? Which Gaza doctor it is? Is it as well?
Outside of the ledger at plus 9 points. But look now.
Well, no. So this Soviet proxy thing, the reason they think it has such legs is because they think that because they basically think that the Palestinians announced that Palestinians were going to start existing in 1964, and they were basically like, oh, the Palestinians also don't exist, which it's amazing. One day you'll hear people talk about this. Oh, MR majority report. I know what the majority report is. I didn't know what MR was.
Minus 23 points. Again, an over 30-point shift in the wrong direction if you are a fan of Bibi Netanyahu here in the United States. And among independents, we're talking about that his net favorability rating at this point is a minus 35 points in the average poll. He is about as popular as Donald Trump is here in the United States. And of course, Trump ain't too hot to trot, to borrow a phrase that I used earlier on. And here's the other thing, which is this is starting to have major electoral ramifications. Israel has become a 4-letter word in Democratic primaries. And one way you can see that is...
What? What does that mean? Israel has become a 4-letter word?
Is AIPAC, right? AIPAC, the lobbying group. Google searches for AIPAC in 2026, up like a rocket, up 363%.
By the way, the fact that Netanyahu was at +4 in 2020... Did that say 2024? In early 2024 was at +9, sorry, is fucking insane.
A 4-letter word in Democratic primaries. And one way you can see that...
I assumed it was like fuck, but why, like a 4-letter curse word? But why? Why would you use that phrase?
Is AIPAC, right? AIPAC, the lobbying group. Google searches for AIPAC in 2026, up like a rocket, up 363% versus last year, reached an all-time high last month. You often hear those on the left using AIPAC against their opponents if they have in fact taken money from AIPAC. I'm not expecting that to change anytime soon on the left. I think the question is going to be, if these young Republican numbers hold, and we see this right here, will AIPAC and Israel possibly become a...
By the way, you know what's so funny is so much politics in Western in like the well, I guess in the two main Anglophone countries that I know much about, like, you know, the UK and the US. I know bits and pieces about Australia and such, but not enough. All of them frame their politics around like trying to win the median voter. And so many people spent time whining at pro-Palestine people. All of these polls are just incredibly indicative of the fact that Kamala Harris could have hoovered up voters even if she wasn't that actually pro-Palestine, if she just pushed back on Israel, and the same with the Labour Party in the UK. It is amazing that so many people are paid to be political strategists. It is amazing that so many people are streamers on the internet who tell you that the problem is pro-Palestine people, and they're unwilling to confront the fact that this exists, that you could literally cross the bipartisan lines by just, you could just literally cross the party lines by literally just being like, I fucking hate Israel, let's do away with our support for it. And also being pretty just libbed out on, like, I'd say like the more reasonable position is that the one-state solution, by the way, even amongst people who for a long time were two-staters and Zionists, kinda like liberal Zionists, like Avi Schleim was for a long time, you know, a bit more libbed out, and now he's just like, yeah, I categorically support the one-state solution.
Boogeyman on the right as well. We're not really quite sure at this point, given how quickly these numbers have changed. Maybe they'll change back the other way in 4 years' time. But the bottom line is this. Views on Israel have shifted tremendously.
I don't even know if it all boils down to being paid by AIPAC personally. I think that this is just kind of a bipartisan thing of preserving the world in the way it is. Like, let's be frank. Let's be frank here. The major thing about all of this, really, is that when it comes to supporting Israel, Israel is an important facet that prevents America from ever having to, you know, to get involved in the Middle East. From America having to, bomb Lebanon because Hezbollah are trying to alter the politics of the region, or their politics are altering the region. Like, not that they necessarily have done that all of that much. I mean, I'm not enough of an expert in Hezbollah's interventionism in Syria. I know they framed their interventionism in Syria basically as around, as basically being around fighting the Islamic State, and obviously the Islamic State and the Nusra Front did actually carry out attacks. But the whole thing is that, like, Israel basically offers this way to control regional politics. And by the way, my major conspiracy theory, I guess there's quite a lot of people watching on Twitch who don't watch me regularly, and probably some on YouTube as well. My major conspiracy theory is, what if Trump is using the Iran war to draw down from the Middle East? Because there is no way that, you know, there is, like, Turkey, I mean, Israel will probably overplay its hand and might actually try and launch some kind of conflict with with Turkey. But by virtue of degrading the only regional power that could threaten Israel, that was still committed to some kind of struggle against Israel, they can draw back from the Middle East and actually one day provide for Vance, although I don't think Vance has anywhere near the aura to do it, or someone to actually be, you know, MAGA or America first and draw back and away from it and have something that is actually more disconnected, although that is a big if, you know? Because, like, realistically, most of, you know, we were talking about earlier, most of the Gulf monarchies are pro-Israel, most of the or like not necessarily all pro-Israel, but are unwilling to do anything about it and are more concerned with self-preservation. Because, by the way, something that is underappreciated is the Palestinian Revolution is obviously a threat if you're a Gulf monarchy. Because if you're a monarchy, you are someone who is not going to be able to support revolutionary politics to its full extent. Because what about aspects of the Palestinian revolutionary cause? If so, that's definitely not Donald's plan. His brain's too... No, I don't think it would necessarily be Donald Trump's plan, by the way. I don't think... I'm sure... I enjoyed this clip yesterday, and seeing as there are a decent amount of you watching over on Twitch today, there was a clip yesterday which kind of just proved Trump's brain is just mush, in my opinion. Watch this clip of him talking to the DoorDash lady.
Playing in women's sport. Do you think that men should play in women's sports?
I really don't have an opinion on that.
You don't? I'll bet you do.
No, I'm here about
Pizza.
no tax on
Look at him just going, pizza.
tips.
Yeah. Okay.
He literally just got a beer delivered. Sorry, he literally just got a McDonald's delivered and just goes, pizza.
It's on tips.
Yeah. Okay. You do?
No, I'm here about
Pizza.
no tax on tips.
That is one of my favorite clips of him recently. Pizza. Oh, wait. Actually, I knew a clip that I was meant to show at the start. of this stream that I absolutely love, which I am sure that all of you have seen by now, which is Joe Biden yesterday. Did any of you see Joe Biden pulling...
And by the way, I always want to turn around to one guy and say, Barack, what are you doing? Come here. I feel like he should be standing to the right and I should be standing to the left. Hey, you done this look at Barack? Anyway. As I say, you've done good, fella.
Well, I tried.
I really hated, also, none of you have got an email notification there. It's just in the video. Yeah, I mean, I feel like covering up Biden's cognitive decline is funny in some ways, but covering up Trump's is also really funny because Trump is obviously losing it, just not to the extent Biden did.
You don't? I'll bet you do.
No, I'm here about
Pizza.
no tax on
Well, someone pointed out, because when I heard this clip and when I saw the title of a clip of like Biden gets random black guy from the crowd and says he looks like Obama, I was like, holy shit, this is about to be the most racist thing you've ever seen. But this person had a good tweet. The guy looks the perfect level like Obama for this to be funny. Not a dead ringer or anything, but like right where you look at him for a second and go like, oh yeah, I actually see it. And a little bit, okay, he doesn't look exactly like Obama, and I feel like it's a pretty odd thing to do as a politician. But yeah, he does look a tiny bit like Barack Obama. A tiny bit. Enough that it doesn't seem as insane as you possibly think that it would be. Yeah. He also, to me, sounds a tiny bit like Obama, doesn't he? I don't know.
Hey, you done this look at Barack? Anyway, as I say, you've done good, fella.
Well, I tried.
Okay, he doesn't actually sound that much like Obama. But yeah, I mean, I thought Joe Biden had terminal prostate cancer, no? Or is he just a bit sicky?
In a lot of unexpected places, not just on the left wing of the Democratic Party. All right, so this was me running all the numbers on Israel's U.S. popularity problem. If you have another topic that you want me to cover, leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll see if we'll do it next time around. Hey there.
I mean, yeah, all of this is just incredible. I don't know, just watching a clip of Joe Biden and just having to think about how there were so many people who tried to kind of deny that Israel, supporting Israel was a stupid and a terrible idea. But yeah, Obama, if he was 12. Back in his day, he could say that and nobody would make fun of him. Kids these days, yeah. Kids these days. Pretty easy to clear up if caught early. I don't know, maybe he has had it cleared up. I guess they got some really good doctors, because they probably kept his brain alive when it is literally just slush. I mean, I'm of the opinion that Trump is kept alive in the same way that, like, footballers with injuries are able to play through things that no human being would, which is just through like a cocktail of pain relievers and such. And that's how Trump is able to make a normal appearance. I also really enjoyed this video of Olivia Reingold from the Free Press giving us a telling information about how she's stuck it to mainstream media. I can't play this, obviously it's got a Tame Impala song. Wait. What does that say? What does that say? The free press is for nihilists who care, gun-owning pacifists, stay-at-home dads. By the way, I don't think the free press is actually popular, and Olivia Reingold is really weird. I don't know if any of you, I think Brace Belden pointed this out. There's a video of her pretending to be John Oliver, and she's like, when she's doing an impersonation of John Oliver, who did mock her, she's like, oh, Olivia Reingold is so fat and ugly. She's so ugly. She's such an ugly lady. And John Oliver didn't mention at all what she looked like. I mean, I love the free press, as you know, but everyone just pointed out that, like, she was saying, read it and weep, legacy media. I don't think there is a bigger example of fucking legacy media, which is just, yeah, the free press advertised on a billboard was acquired by Paramount, owner of CBS. CBS was founded in 1927, making them part of the legacy media big three TV broadcasters. Yeah. She is a bizarre lady. She is a really interesting character. But I mean, I don't know. I think if you cut your teeth or your journalistic credentials are basically, I don't know, denying famine in Gaza, you're probably not going to be the most normal of people. But yeah, really is interesting. And you guys keep mentioning Reza Pahlavi. I will watch the John Burko thing because I think it is interesting. This is more interesting in my opinion. So obviously this is Reza Pahlavi, the real king of Iran that all us patriots believe. All us Iranian patriots believe.
Thank you. I'm Jacob Risberg from the Green Party, and thank you for your statement, Mr. Pahlavi. You spoke very much about the current terror regime, and I agree with a lot of things you said, but you didn't speak very much about the regime that came before that. So I would like to know, do you denounce or do you distance yourself from the way that your father ruled Iran, with hundreds or even thousands of opposition figures that were jailed and dissidents were persecuted and tortured by the Savak? Thank you.
Right. Well, first of all, a read on exactly what happened in terms of historical revision has already occurred in Iran. And I can invite you to talk directly to the people who at the time were arguing many points that today have had an evolution in thinking and assessment. So as far as the writing part of history is concerned, I would certainly encourage you to look a little bit deeper into what the read was. But let me also tell you one thing.
I mean, you know, his father wrote a book he wrote a book in the 60s or early 70s. And he eventually had to, actually, you know what, I'm going to look this up because it is so funny. He wrote this book that had to be withdrawn from shelves because his book spoke about freedom and democracy. Hold on. Where is it? Yeah, so he had a book, the Shah had a book called The Mission for My Country, and it had to be removed because it made statements about freedom and democracy which were deemed to be out of date. There was also this period where he instituted a one-party system where he told anyone who didn't support the Rastakhi's party was a traitor to the Shah and that they should leave the country for good because they were now part of the Tudeh, the left-wing party in Iran. And yeah, the number of books published in Iran fell from 42,000 to just 1,300. See you later, Tara. Enjoy. I hope work goes well. I forgot to upload my thing saying I'm live today. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this guy just refusing to answer, would you support torture? Or like, would you condemn your father's actions is pretty worrying. This thing is really funny though, because Pahlavi went to do a talk in in Sweden, I think it was Sweden. It was some Scandinavian country, but I'm pretty sure it's Sweden. He went to do this talk and he kept saying he was addressing parliament and there were like 4 MPs there.
Today's Generation Z of Iran are people who say that without knowing him, we love him, we appreciate him. Today people in Iran are tattooing my father's autograph on their arms. People are chanting his name. Why? Because they know that whatever mistakes that happen, and people make mistakes, but the intention was to serve the nation.
That is a brilliant statement. I guess all Iranians must have a tattoo of... It is Sweden, yeah. They must all have a tattoo of... Maybe like his father, anyone who doesn't get the Reza Pahlavi tattoo will be kicked out of the country and deemed to be a communist. Wait, why have I lost this, John Burko? Oh, the account that shared the video of John Burko has gone private. What?
Mr.
Oh, so we're going to have to watch a different statement. Hold on.
Pahlavi is, I'm afraid, a sadly deluded soul. That may be the logical outcome in his misguided mind, but I'm afraid his mind and the truth on the ground are two totally different things. My fear is that Mr. Pahlavi's relationship with reality is at best that of a nodding acquaintance in a leap year. My dear chap, Mr. Pahlavi, you're very late to the party, old boy. You missed the boat, or if you ever caught a bus, you missed this one. The point at which he said to people, go out on the streets and protest, which he was presumably saying from his safe haven in the United States. People had already been doing so. People were already protesting in enormous numbers. So that's the first point. Secondly, on the question of him being the logical outcome of the protests, that I think is the surest indication.
Oh my god, I just found out that John Burko is apparently an MEK head. I don't know why this video is gone. That's actually so annoying. I know the video you're all talking about, but it's been removed from Twitter. I'm really not sure why. Hold on, I'll see if I can find it. Oh no, I can.
Mr. Pahlavi cannot...
This is the better one. This is the better one.
Mr. Pahlavi cannot be accused of too much arduous work over the decades. He was born into enormous wealth and privilege. He scuttled off to the United States 4.5 decades ago. I'm not aware of anything useful he's done since, but apparently he goes to bed at night, my source tells me, eagerly entertaining the hope that the moment is nigh. The prince over the water who will come to the rescue and achieve a position of leadership. Well, I stopped believing in fairy tales before I became a teenager. This guy's now in his mid-60s. I have to say to him, just as our little secret between Mr. Pahlavi and me, mate, you are deluded.
I love burgers! Langium, thank you for becoming a subscriber. Thanks for using Twitch Prime and supporting me. Thank you so much. I mean, I really am enjoying how much fun John Burko is having doing this. Like, how much of a smile he's got on his face. What he is saying is true, by the way. The most important point is the amount of lies that Pahlavi has told. Pahlavi claimed that there are 50,000 IRGC members willing to defect. If there were 50,000 IRGC members willing to defect, Iran would have descended into civil war already. Because also, by the way, people are going to start being pushed because there'll obviously be less of an ability to pay the wages of people who serve the Islamic Republic. And if there's already 50,000 ready to defect before any of this, how did anybody believe this or take this seriously? This is, by the way, if anything about all of the Iran stuff is an Israeli psyop, the most important aspect of said Israeli psyop is this. Pahlavi had no motion, or nowhere near the motion that was claimed.
In political terms, you are off your chump. You haven't got a clue. It's not going to happen. The idea that the mass of the people of Iran are going to say to the son of the most appalling autocrat who pillaged the country and presided over mass destruction, please, sir, we know you haven't got much of a curriculum vitae. We know you haven't done much by way of effective work in your life, but we'd really like you to be our next leader. Mr. Pahlavi, it isn't going to happen. Do something else.
By the way, though, one thing I will say is, I thought it was the organization he's talking at, or the organization, this thing called the National Council of Resistance of Iran, I'm pretty sure has something to do with the MEK, which is the Mujahideen organization of Iran. So the MEK are a militant organization in Iran who collaborated with Saddam Hussein. They launched a huge invasion of Iran and they got absolutely cooked. Like a huge amount of people were killed. And then there was a horrifyingly brutal crackdown by the Iranian government on MEK people inside of prisons. But this guy serving the MEK is pretty crazy in this day and age. But that's why who's the other guy who really hates Pahlavi? Rudy Giuliani is an MEK head as well. It's a really odd collection of people because it's just odd.
Take up golf. Undergo a course in Japanese basket weaving. Become a specialist cook. Study the great philosophers. Read a collection of Greek mythology. My dear chap, I don't mind what it is, but stop muddying the waters as far as the future of Iran is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I feel like this is obviously what he's saying is true. It is categorically true. And yeah, there's a lot of viewers on Twitch because there was a raid. The only thing I'm more concerned about is how many people are watching on YouTube. I can't really understand because it's doing the same thing again where the numbers just fuck around and go up. So I assume it's about 300 people watching. Yeah, is posting a video of former... without noting he is a paid agent of the MEK, a terrorist organization and a cult. I don't know why they call it a cult. A lot of people do call it a cult. I'm not sure what about it is a cult. But it is certainly quite strange. What is it with these people being MEK heads? Like, I don't really get it. Why do they like the MEK so much? But never fear, by the way, as well. Don't worry. I have one final, video to play, which is probably the most important of the day. You see these white people, MEK heads, what do they gain from it? I don't actually know. You'd have to speak to someone who's more of an expert on Iran, the Iranian, diaspora kind of anti-Islamic Republic organizations. And I couldn't actually tell you. I assume it's payment. I assume it's stuff like that. I actually really don't know. What is waltzing, Matilda? But anyway, the final video I have to show you is former lawyer and personal friend of disgraced New York financier Jeffrey Epstein. Have a listen to this. He's telling you really important stuff. This is what's going to save young people's opinions of Israel.
The goals of the United States and Israel are different when it comes to Iran. And we see that in Lebanon, where Israel's feeling pressure from the president to tone down its attacks. And the truth is as much as you attack Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, they're still around. That's the problem. It's very hard to defeat them. But on the other hand, what other choices do we really have? That's really the dilemma.
By the way, I love the framing of this question, because obviously he gets to the traumatic point, or the traumatic point for the Israeli project, which is you cannot continually bomb and kill people to get rid of problems that pertain to Israel. Like, Hezbollah have major solidarity with the... part of Hezbollah's appeal is solidarity with the Palestinian cause, right? Nasrallah talked about this all of the time. This guy just going, oh, we can't really bomb and get rid of them. What do we do about that? Oh, we have no alternative. There is obviously a major alternative to this, which is do the two-state if you love Israel, or find some kind of meaningful binational existence. But of course, the favored choice of Alan Dershowitz and Zev Brenner is let's forever mass kill people in Lebanon, Gaza, Iran, and anyone who doesn't entirely capitulate to the desires of the Zionist project.
we have to continue to fight. Hashem oz li'amo yitain. We have to remember that the Jews get shalom only through oz. And so Bibi has to continue to fight, even if it means confrontation with President Trump. Leave that to Americans. We will take care of President Trump. You know, I met with him over Hanukkah, spent a half an hour or so with him in the Oval Office talking about Iran. He was very...
They probably had such a sick time. Him and they were probably having a massive reminisce over Epstein. I do think it's pretty funny, though, that Epstein's former lawyer and Trump Jeffrey Epstein, associate and friend of Jeffrey Epstein, a very close friend of Jeffrey Epstein, are planning how we will forever support how the Americans, excuse me, I say we, but how the Americans will forever, ever support Israel.
And I know that Miriam Adelson talks to them from time to time. I talk to other members of the administration from time to time. There's a lot of support for Israel within the administration, but it's moderated by the fact that, as you say, America has a slightly different interest.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, just truly unbelievable. And America's slightly different interest is, realistically, the Trump administration is interested in business, and transforming Iran into a failed state is not actually it is not actually a great idea. It's not actually a good idea, especially for American allies in the region, or allowing Israel to constantly kill, because this increases domestic pressure on already pretty shaky dictatorial governments who support the Israeli cause in the Middle East. You're right. That pin is crazy. The Dersh keeps his underwear on at all times. Of course he does. The Dersh is a smart man who Jeffrey Epstein just for some reason bought for some reason had a car bought for him by Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know. We'll have to look into why that was. No one knows. I mean, Israel is going to be... By the way, Israel's wars are forever wars in the same way that the war on terror is a forever war. Because the war on terror is trying to deal with something that pertains to American influence in the MENA region. Across the MENA region. Sorry, I just received a Gmail from the chart book. Adam Tooze has a new chart book out. Oh, can't wait to read that. Gonna be an absolute pleasure. The Dersh is always rocking an extremely cluttered background. I know, he has a lot of pictures. Okay, right. So, an interesting story emerged out of Lebanon last night, right? So, basically... Well, this actually emerged a few days ago. So, this was the claim by Israel that in Bint Jbeil, there were all of these weapons found in a hospital there. I didn't have time to sort the emotes on Twitch. Many apologies. They're only on YouTube for now. Members have all the emotes over on YouTube. Forces of the Givati Brigade, I'm assuming, operating in southern Lebanon, observed earlier this week military activity by Hezbollah elements from inside the government hospital in Bint Jbeil, southern Lebanon, where a number of terrorist elements fired shots from a hospital window toward the forces. Our forces quickly closed the circle around these terrorists and precisely eliminated 20 of them. Following that, due to its use for burgers. Following that, and due to its use for terrorist purposes, the forces raided the hospital complex and found inside it a stockpile of combat means. The sorry, I don't want to listen to that. Why is it playing? The terrorist Hezbollah but basically this is it. It's just them accusing Hezbollah of being... Oh my god, stop playing! Fucking Twitter. It's just them claiming Hezbollah are evil terrorists over and over again. Hey, Jurga Larson, thank you for becoming a subscriber at Tier 1 over on Twitch. Thank you for supporting the Twitch channel. Hello, Jurga Larson. Thank you for supporting. Combat memes. Anyway, so this journalist, Alex Martin Astley, who works for Foreign Policy, The New Arab... well, he's an independent journalist. He's based in Lebanon, sent a message to the Israeli military and said, The photo is intended to serve as evidence the weapons were taken from the hospital and photographed at a nearby location. Some of the images of weapons shown in the tweet were confiscated from the hospital and transferred into Israeli territory through an orderly weapon seizure process. Okay, interesting. So they've posted photographs and then they've said, so this was not photographed at the hospital. This was the photo published by Mr. Adrei, who is the Israeli government spokesperson. As was written here, the weapons were taken from the hospital and photographed in a nearby location. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like when you're picking up weapons and taking photographs of them in other places, it's not really clear that they are necessarily from that hospital, as Israel categorically claimed that they were. And now they've been messaging them again. The IOF admitted to me that the photo they shared ostensibly as evidence was not taken at the hospital. So they're claiming that hospitals are being used. By the way, the reason they're doing this is because Hezbollah does operate hospitals. That's the truth. Hezbollah does operate hospitals and healthcare infrastructure. They provide for people living in southern Lebanon. They've done it for a long time. They run dental clinics as well. And so Israel wants to demonize so they can wipe out all civilian infrastructure in southern Lebanon. Just all infrastructure, not military infrastructure, everything that makes life possible there. When you move evidence, it's no longer trustable. By the way, there have been times where they've showed evidence of Hezbollah weapon caches and they've just had IOF-like materials in them. There was one time where there were just Israeli explosives in the background of apparently a Hezbollah base that they found. It's just, like, amazing. They sure do lack creativity. Hamas hospital. My favorite one was Israel claims here hospital is. Do any of you remember when Israel claimed that there was a cash bunker under the Sahel hospital in Lebanon? And this was a year ago. And then they just sent journalists down there. And the journalists found out that it was not the case.
Directly under...
Okay, this has music on. No, I'm not playing that. Twitchers, you could enjoy that, but I couldn't show that to you. Israel kept claiming it, but then people went there and they found nothing of the sort.
Well, we're on level -2. In the Al Sahel hospital. The area just behind me is where medical waste is stored. Even that was opened up for us to have a look. The morgue was opened up, all of the drawers were opened to show us there was nothing inside. Doctors have been opening piles of surgery.
I just think one of the most important facets of the Israeli genocide in Gaza was blocking journalists from being able to enter and discrediting all Palestinians as evil Hamas. That was one of the most important things that Israel did in Gaza, and one of the most important things that they did. But yes, Israel did say this. You can watch this BBC video. It's actually insane.
Surgical scrubs, boxes of equipment.
100% with primitive rocket launching capability can keep the Hormuz Strait closed indefinitely. We're going to talk about that in a second because the Strait of Hormuz stuff is...
Very, very keen to show us everything there is to see and to prove that there is nothing here. Well, I'm just coming now from the basement on -2 up to -1. We've been brought around the hospital by doctors. We've also been allowed to move around on our own. Doors have been opened for us in every area, cupboards. We've been allowed to see what there is to see. Now, the hospital staff are adamant that there is no hidden bunker here containing millions of dollars of cash or gold, as the Israelis have claimed. They say this is just a hospital where patients were being treated last night and where they had to be evacuated from the emergency area.
By the way, how fucking disrespectful it is that Israeli claims, after all of the lies that they've told, after every single lie, that they have to be, like, humoured, that's the word that I'm looking for, that you have to humour this massive invasion into a hospital, where I know people were evacuated, but people have to go in to prove that Israel is fucking lying, when all Israel does is lie. Israel does not tell the truth at all. Israel posted a photoshopped image of a Lebanese journalist saying that they were like a militant.
Area at great speed because doctors were worried for the lives of the patients and also worried for the staff.
Yeah, just unbelievable that this was a thing. That was 2 years ago almost now. US and West sends out manufacturing to China in the East, believing that they are so smart and advanced that they can only send the schematics to third worlds for manufacturing of everything. This allowed China to leapfrog and start pulling the third world up along with them. And now material reality is that the West and US sit with no manufacturing capacity. It's Jova. Yes, and Europe is very scared about this because there's a huge rise in the far right, and you're starting to see many of the things that happened a certain amount of time ago with very, 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 very negative comments. And yeah, I mean, we watched an Olivia Reingold clip earlier. Olivia Reingold's justification for the fact that there was no famine in Gaza was that actually everyone being starved there was sick, was already had an illness.
ביקורת על חמאס
Israel's claims should be dismissed by everyone. I know, it's like the... Do you remember the Rafah massacre? When Israel made the outrageous claim that in Rafah some paramedics had tried to kill them, that they were all Hamas members? And obviously it wasn't... obviously it wasn't true at all. I don't know. The fact that this is just still treated with any significance, all Israel has ever done is lie. Like the fact that, I don't know, that it is genuinely humoured, that this might actually be true by a certain amount of people is truly, truly unbelievable. Oh, and some of you were asking, I don't know if anyone has made a video about this which we could quickly watch rather than have to talk about it myself, but it is quite interesting. I read this yesterday and some of you have been asking me about it, which is, I don't know if any of you saw this, but Haaretz now has access to some old documents from the Israeli archive that basically link one of the early Zionist organizations, the Stern Gang, to the Nazis. There is actually some pretty insane stuff in here. It's probably worth looking at. So, basically, the Lehi, or the Stern Gang, as they were known, were in this documents that have been released. All it did was confirm things that people already knew, which is Abraham Yer, as he went by Stern, had a strategy to enlist the Nazis' support against Britain. His beliefs are pretty interesting, to say the least. It's just, yeah, it's just, I don't know, this is just, yeah. I have information, so this is what the commander, Eliyahu Golomb, said about he was the commander of the Haganah, which was like the more official militia of the State of Israel that morphed into the IOF. I have information about suspicion regarding a group of Jews who have connections with the enemy, he said at the time. And by the enemy, he meant the Germans. Now, this guy's collaboration was pretty large. He basically fell into the belief, and what this details, and by the way, people had already reported on this. This was a thing that some people had talked about And basically what it said in here was that they saw, because the British had denied them a state, that their best option was to do this. So Stern's ideology as follows was described in one document. With the outbreak of World War II, Stern argued that there is no better time for a war of independence than during wartime. This is actually what the Irish thought as well. The Irish did during the First World War, right? Britain's forces, not to compare the two struggles, Britain's forces are tied down, and it would be possible to overcome them. The question of orientation seemed simple to him. By the way, the actual animosity that was held towards the British was that the British kept refusing to back every single settlement project, because very often during the settlement project it would require protection of the British Army, and also because on the ground not necessarily everyone liked the Jewish settlers in Palestine. There are actually a lot of British people who were such little racist colonists that they didn't like the Jewish settlers because they viewed them as natives, even though they were settlers and lower than British people, and yet they had the audacity to speak back and speak out against them. But yeah, there are some pretty incredible parts of this document. Here you go. The Jews are a party in the war and therefore cannot be neutral. Britain betrayed the Jewish people by what? Giving them a state and oppressing the Palestinians and clearly unfairly treating them. Anyone who sells you this rubbish is just a complete and utter liar, that the British had betrayed the Zionists. They gave them a state, they oppressed the Palestinians. The first High Commissioner of Palestine, Herbert Samuel, was just a straight up Zionist, and Ronald Storrs, who I think was the governor of Jerusalem previously, said that it was unbelievable that the British had appointed someone who was just a Zionist to power at that time. It's amazing. It is actually amazing that this is just a reality. So Britain betrayed the Jewish people and will never allow the establishment of a Jewish state. On the other hand, Germany has no special interest in Palestine, and since the Nazis want to cleanse Europe of Jews, nothing is simpler than transferring them to their own state. Yeah, so he basically had this belief that the Nazis had two different thought currents within them. It is possible to reach a practical agreement with the Germans. Negotiations should be opened and Jews of Europe should be recruited into a special army that would fight its way to Palestine and conquer it from the British. The Germans, he argued, would agree because it would rid them of the Jews while also removing the British from the Near East. It's also really funny because that does tap into a reality of the Balfour Declaration, which, you know, was this thing of some people supported the Balfour Declaration because they were anti-Semitic. Yeah, here you go. Another document notes that Stern believed there were two schools of thought in Nazi Germany regarding the Jewish community in Palestine. One advocated closeness with the Arabs and supported the leadership of the Mufti of Jerusalem, Haj Amin al-Husseini, because it viewed the Jewish community as more dangerous than any other Jewish community since it was endowed with aggressive qualities and a desire for freedom. The other school of thought, according to Stern, supported strengthening the Jewish settlement by bringing Jews of Europe, believing they would be grateful and would assist Germany. The file tracking Leahy's contacts with the Axis powers also includes a document written in 1949. Its anonymous author claimed that he clarified with Stern in real time the ideological foundation of his position. According to the author, Stern said, "We will manage somehow with the Germans after they conquer the land, just as the Soviets manage with them when necessary." Interesting how Israel decided to zero in on the association with the Grand Mufti and Hitler. Yes, because, by the way, the association with the Grand Mufti and Hitler was massively overblown and always has been by the Zionists. I mean, Netanyahu claimed that the Mufti was actually the inspiration of Hitler to exterminate Jewish people. So this notion that, you know, this attempt to zero in and push that it has always been there. And they also claimed that Egyptian tanks in 1956 were crossing the Sinai with swastikas painted on them, which was absolutely untrue. The Egyptians did not paint swastikas on their tanks. That was never proven. Remember all the stuff that Israel claimed Hamas did, hiding weapons in hospitals? These Zionist gangs did exactly... Yes, I've seen that. That there are commemorative plaques where they're like, we defended this school against evil Palestinians. 1936 to 39, the Brits were extremely pro-Zionist. Hussein al-Amini was a collaborator. Yes, the British people... By the way, the Brits viewed Husseini as pretty good because Haj Amin al-Husseini, obviously you're not told about this, Haj Amin al-Husseini during the Great Palestinian Revolt was viewed as brilliant by the British and like high-level officials, because what they saw of Haj Amin al-Husseini was that basically he was going to be able to calm and deliver calming sermons when there was much more militant currents running through Palestine at that time. Just casually putting Arabic coffee. I know, the Arabic copies of... Yeah, because this is all just for moronic people who believe that Palestinians and their resistance, whether that be militant or their just general rejection of the state of Israel and diplomatic attempts to build a Palestinian state, are somehow affiliated with Nazi anti-Semitism, when it is, of course, the Zionist project's racism that is more affiliated with Nazi anti-Semitism in the sense of it being a racial supremacist project. By the way, are there actually 200 people on Twitch? Because it doesn't feel like that in the chat. Weapons caches under playground, a seesaw more specifically. There's pictures of it. Yeah, I have seen that. I have seen that kind of stuff. He also said that Stern aspired to seize control of all of Eretz Yisrael by force with the help of a foreign power. It is clear he seriously considered becoming a Jewish Kiesling with the aid of a foreign power. Oh, you are here. You are here. You just, I guess there's people... No stress. I was just wondering if it was like botted or something. Oh, shit. I've dropped my headset. My headset is back. We're here, we lurking. Okay, cool. You'll get a lot of lurkers when someone raids you. They were lurking in the previous... I see. I just didn't know if people were just hating this and it was just botted over there, but I guess people are enjoying it on YouTube. The Red Scare helped Zionism gain popularity among Jews in the US. How do you mean it helped them gain popularity? Both Syria and Egypt brought leftover Panzer IVs after the war, so if that ever happened, it's because they didn't have the time/money to... I don't know. I don't even think it did happen. I've heard that there was absolutely no proof of it. Is it Kiesling? Am I saying it right? Kiesling or Quisling? Kies or Quis? It's Kiesling, I think, no? The references to the Norwegian Prime Minister who collaborated with the Nazis and whose name became synonymous with treason... and yeah, by the way, these aren't just like theoretical. There's also mentions of how there was an active partnership. There were shared interests between German policy and Jewish national aspirations. There's also from Golom, who was the head of the Haganah, was saying, there is no doubt there was an attempt to contact the Germans, and it is possible they promised something, perhaps an internal Jewish police force. I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means. I'm right, it is right, Kiesling. Several Jews were arrested, suspected of connections or attempts to connect with Italians or Germans. By the way, as well, like, a lot of what the Mufti was doing was similar to this in the sense of, like, yippee! And that was a little loud, by the way. Langium was gifted a tier 1 sub to Floromancy. Thank you so much for the gifted sub. Thank you for supporting over on Twitch and everyone who donates. It's incredibly appreciated as always. I think you need to use the politics tag for the stream here on Twitch. I don't know what I think it is politics. I've set it's intended for certain audiences. Is there a new politics category, or is that the case? But yeah, it's just like this thing of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and yeah, super capo, mega capos. Yeah, I guess that would... But do they mean like an internal police force in Germany, like a Jewish police force in Germany, or do they mean one in Palestine? Is that what it means? I don't really know. Anyway, who decided the opposing sides must necessarily be against the Jews? In any case, Jews must conduct independent politics and connect with whoever is worthwhile. I spoke with someone who read the pamphlet and he conveyed its contents to me. So this is apparently just a pamphlet they made. The Nazis are indeed against the Jews, but their hatred is directed at the Jews of the diaspora. There is no opposition in the Nazi program to a Judenstaat, a Jewish state. By the way, as well, this wasn't just like... There were quite a lot of people. Theodor Herzl, one of the founding fathers of the Zionist project, was like, there are some things about anti-Semitism that I like, and he tried to organize meetings with the Kaiser of Germany. And by the way, the Kaiser of Germany was very anti-Semitic as the First World War went worse and worse and worse. He just was like, yep, it's Jewish people causing this. Oh, okay, I need to use a politics tag. Okay, I'll work out how to do that. Thank you for that. I don't really know how to Twitch stream. This is like one of my most recent Twitch streams. I'm still not even a partner on Twitch. Yeah, it also mentions this guy, Naftali Lebenchik, a Leahy member who was sent to meet with the German representatives, and a 1951 document suggests that Axis does not seek the physical destruction of the Jewish people, but rather their expulsion from Europe and their concentration in one place. I mean, pretty troubling terminology, but I also think that this was maybe a bit short-sighted and moronic, that the Germans would have eventually grown tired of the Nazis. However, one thing I would say, though, is that the Nazis probably wouldn't have lasted long enough to actually ever to enter into a major conflict with the Zionist project, because the Nazis were always destined to eat themselves. How could you ever push German supremacy across every single country? Like, that's what Nazi nationalism was, the belief that like Aryans were superior and that all races would fight amongst each other. I don't think it would have worked. Keep the category as just chatting, but you can add tags too. Thank you, the worst Emily. Now you're good, bro. Stay just chatting. Cool. Thank you. Norway was very tightly connected to Germany with the Hansa trade networks. Only the north of Norway had armed resistance. Interesting. Turkey did the same thing. They blamed Arabs, and horrible shit. Did they blame the Kurds? Anyway, so it further states that this Lebenchik guy sought to prove to Axis policymakers that it would be worthwhile to designate Eretz Yisrael as that place of concentration, thereby gaining the friendship of the Hebrew people, who would enlist for this purpose the war against England. Hold on. Adam Schatz has this review in the London Review of Books of David Ben-Gurion's A State at Any Cost, which was published by... I've never read this. This is a really long book. But there's some points here as well. So David Ben-Gurion said that if Israel had already existed, 6 million Jews would be in Palestine. The Yishuv wouldn't have had the capacity to absorb them. About 60,000 Jewish people arrived during the war, so it was a very big pipe dream anyway. Segev suggests that Ben-Gurion's coolness in the face of catastrophe was more than anything else helplessness, but this doesn't explain why Ben-Gurion dismissed out of hand the idea of bombing Auschwitz and the railroads leading from Hungary to Poland, or his judgment that the terrible historical significance of the Nazi slaughter lay not in the frightening number of Jews who were massacred, but in the fact that it eliminated that select part of the nation that alone amongst all the Jews was capable and equipped with all the characteristics and abilities needed for building of a state. So, I mean, Israel has always had, and Israel's first prime minister had a very problematic engagement with Nazism and the extermination of Jewish people in Europe. This is what Tom Segev talks about in most of his books. It's really interesting. It's just, I don't know. It's always like, yeah. Oh, by the way, the person, Alionilla did mention the sinking of the ship as well. It's just I didn't read it, so yeah. Scorched earth comes from the Nazi retreat and burning of the north of Norway. They burned every house and shed. Interesting. I heard the story of the old man that was forced to burn our village in the north. I've never heard of that. That's really interesting. I don't know. Like, I'm not a World War II history head. Like, obviously, I know what World War II is. I've read more about the First World War in recent years. I read The Deluge by Tooze, but yeah. I have been going on about this for ages too. What have you been going on about for ages? Didn't Herzl also write about how Zionism would essentially destroy any unionization of the working class Jews too? Well, you should see Herzl and Zionism as Herzl and Zionism as diametrically opposed to Marxism. So what Marx proffered was the assimilation of Jewish people, whereas Herzl proffered the transformation of Jewish people through the process of doing settler colonialism in Palestine. That's like what the project, of that was what the project and strategy was of the Zionist project. So yes, it would have basically destroyed it. But also, by the way, seemed to remove the most anti-Zionist power structures. But even in like terms of the Warsaw Ghetto, by the way, there were some who supported Israel. There were some Zionists. The Bund wasn't Zionist. There were other people who weren't Zionists. There was this mixture. But what Ben-Gurion is upset about is Ben-Gurion was racist as shit to Moroccan Jewish people and Jewish people all over from the Middle East to North Africa region. He hated them. You can read about this. He viewed them as lower stock and lower quality. And this was actually like a really common belief amongst all Zionists. Even left, like actual spiritualist Zionists who didn't even believe in establishing like a nation state. Like Ahad Ham, Asher Ginsburg, literally referred to Yemenite Jews as just like bad. That's what Herzl was upset about. There's also this really horrifying bit here. That Jewish existence in much of Europe had been annihilated didn't seem to move him. He saw Zionism and his state as the principal victim of the Nazis' crimes against humanity. When he visited the displaced persons camps after the war, Ben-Gurion carried himself like a commander surveying the troops. Some survivors gave him a hero's welcome, but others were frustrated that he did not know how to offer paternal sympathy for their personal suffering. He could only see the Holocaust as a national catastrophe. He chided a resistance hero for giving a speech in Yiddish, a jarring foreign language. Yeah, I would have assumed that Scorched Earth was a lot older, but I didn't know. I don't know what the origin of it is. But yeah, if you want to read this, Haaretz's article is pretty good. Well, it's pretty interesting. A lot of this stuff had already been reported. Basically, what's happened is Haaretz requested a while ago to have some documents declassified from the Israeli archives, and they finally got them. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that this was a thing that happens. Best evidence they were European first, and that it's not compatible with being Jewish. What do you mean? They banned Yiddish. Yes. David Ben-Gurion came to power through being pretty ruthless, basically. What David Ben-Gurion did was ban the speaking of Yiddish and crack down and rigged votes in everything so he could ensure that Hebrew was the language that was uptaken by everyone. He didn't want people to speak Yiddish. He didn't want them to speak any other language. Yeah. Wiki says the specific term comes from the Sino-Japanese War. Interesting. Chris probably needs to change the mod's permissions to do that. I had two friends who were my main mods, and they had editor capabilities, so maybe that's it. What do I need to change the ability of? What's the worst? What were you saying? I don't know if I can change the mod's capabilities right now. Anyway, story of all left-wing losers. Well, allegedly, one of my favorite people who became an anti-Zionist Jewish person at that time was Walter Benjamin. And some of the claims about Walter Benjamin apparently is that Benjamin became became not a Zionist because he had a girl that he liked who was a Marxist, I think. Yeah, it was very interesting. He associated with Nazi constitutionalist Carl Schmitt. Oh, a rival. Oh, okay, interesting. I was going to say, I was like, pretty interesting mix. Anyway, Bernie disappoints more and more every day. What did Bernie do? What did Bernie do recently that was particularly disappointing? I saw he gave some long-ass speech about... what was his speech? We could watch that, actually. Hold on. No, that's not how I'm going to find it.
I want to talk to you about two votes that I am forcing in the Senate today. Votes that could determine whether the United States continues to fund the extremist Netanyahu government's devastation in Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon.
By the way, the reason that I understand why so many people are like upset and incensed by this is talking about the extremist Netanyahu government and making it specific to them. And I know this has been talked to death, but also another really significant part of this is, was Ariel Sharon not an extremist? Was Ariel Sharon not this extreme character? I mean, Ariel Sharon was personally responsible for an absolutely heinous massacre. No, I haven't read the book by Molly. I've never heard of that book.
Some of the most horrific atrocities now taking place anywhere in the world. As all of you know, on October 7th, 2023, Hamas, a terrorist organization, attacked Israel. They killed over 1,200 innocent men, women, and children and took hundreds of hostages. Like any other country, Israel had the absolute right to defend itself and respond to the Hamas attack. But Israel did not have the right to violate international law and wage an all-out war of enormous destruction against the entire Palestinian people.
I also think that, like, as a leftist who apparently believes in, like, a better America, like an America that's, you know, a state of all of its citizens, rather than just serving, like, a white majority and finding pride in that kind of stuff, as opposed to, you know, the alternative to that. I find it crazy to just sit there and say, like, Israel has this right to respond, because what was October the 7th, if not a response to the oppression that Palestinians had been facing for decades and the huge major land theft that they'd been experiencing?
In what experts have correctly concluded is a genocide. Out of a population of 2.2 million people, Israel has now killed more than 72,000 Palestinians and wounded more than 170,000, the majority of whom are women, children, and elderly people. 90% of the housing units in Gaza have been damaged or destroyed, and most people are now living in tents. Virtually the entire...
Well, I do kind of agree with you that Israel is a blind spot for Bernie, but it feels like all international politics are a blind spot for Bernie. He referred to Chavez as a dictator.
Infrastructure in Gaza, including its water, sewer systems, and electricity, have been destroyed. Every single one of Gaza's 12 universities has been bombed. Hundreds of schools have been destroyed, and their entire educational system has been decimated. Most kids in Gaza now are not in school. More than 1,700 healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, paramedics, have been killed, and 94% of the hospitals destroyed. In addition, Israel imposed a blockade of food, water, fuel, and medicine so total and so deliberate that it produced mass malnutrition. In fact, hundreds of people in Gaza actually starved to death. But it's not only in Gaza. In the West Bank, in direct violation of international law that protects Palestinian territory, Israeli soldiers and settlers have killed more than 1,000 Palestinians, including over 230 children, since October 2023. During that period, They have demolished more than 6,000 Palestinians.
Yeah, it does really feel like the fact that this guy was once the big hope of the left with how like what is it they call it? PEP, progressive except for Palestine. I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's just the case with someone like Bernie Sanders. And I don't think that's really viable anymore. I think young people have such a large appetite. And at this point, you know, being like the main figure of the left and this being this, or like the longest standing main figure of the American left, being basically unable to offer like a larger criticism of Israel than this. And I also just like, I also think that the other really important and major and tough thing for me to like reckon with all of this is just like, why do you keep saying that Israel was good? Like, before? When was Israel good and moral? Because perhaps the only argument that I would, like, be like, okay, fine, you know, this is deluded still, but I don't like it, would be to say, well, in 1967, Israel became way more right-wing. But even then, they were doing genocide and ethnic cleansing before that. But just picking Netanyahu feels insane, because what was Ariel Sharon? Like, what was Ariel Sharon? What was Menachem Begin? What were all of these people, if not extremists? What was David Ben-Gurion, an extremist racist? What was Yitzhak Rabin? Yitzhak Rabin, the peacemaker, broke the bones of Palestinian children.
Palestinian homes and established more than 200 new illegal settlements and outposts in Palestinian territory. And this is being carried out not just by extremist settlers. This is Israeli government policy. Netanyahu's security cabinet has approved the most sweeping changes to the West Bank's legal status since 1967, removing nearly all constraints on settlement expansion. Netanyahu himself declared, quote, "There will never be a Palestinian state," end quote. His finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, bragged that new settlement construction would, quote unquote, bury the idea of a Palestinian state.
By the way, I just want to say something here as well. I saw this tweet yesterday that's like, by some, like, you know, these kind of Twitter accounts that you find that are like the rational thinking adult in the room on Palestine who's really tired of all the radical discourse and conspiracy theories about greater Israel and stuff. Motherfucker, like, there are people in the Israeli government, the finance minister...
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
The finance minister and so many others who all say this exact kind of shit, who say over and over again that like we're gonna do greater Israel. They're the finance minister. They have control over the Palestinian economy. Fuck you for your shit ass criticism of Natalie Wynn. Is that ContraPoints? Is that ContraPoints' real name? What are you saying? Fuck me for criticizing ContraPoints. Oh, that's tough. In 2015, Bernie compared himself to David Ben-Gurion, who he described as a democratic socialist. Right, I tend to know like a lot of democratic socialists who say that they don't like, you know, brown people because they're bad for the culture and stock of their country. That's what a lot of democratic socialists are up to. Was that a joke, or was that a joke about Bernie Sanders criticizing ContraPoints?
Further, in terms of Iran, we now know that Netanyahu convinced Trump to start an unprovoked and unconstitutional war. This war, in violation of international law, has already resulted in the deaths of thousands of civilians, including hundreds of children in Iran and Lebanon, 26 Israeli civilians, and 13 American soldiers. But for Netanyahu, the war in Iran was not enough. Gaza was not enough. The West Bank, not enough. He is now waging a full-blown war of expansion against Lebanon. This war has not only killed more than 2,000 people there, but has resulted in Israel occupying 14% of Lebanese territory. More than 1 million Lebanese civilians have been displaced from their homes. Just last week, hours after the ceasefire with Iran was announced, Israel launched its largest single attack on Lebanon since the war began, killing more than 300 people in a single day. Israeli defense...
I mean, the whole stuff with, like, ContraPoints, like, I'm not enough of a ContraPoints knower or, like, a follower or, like, a viewer of ContraPoints at all. But, look, ContraPoints just, like, defending meeting up with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is, like, bears huge responsibility that fucked her electoral chances for what happened in Libya. So... this whole notion that she's like, you know, that's just like a normal thing that people do. It's not normal. She's responsible for the devastation of a country of millions of people. Also, right now, I have 2,006 followers on Twitch, which interestingly was the year that Hezbollah drove Israel from Lebanon. So thanks for that.
Minister Katz has announced that all...
I don't think that person was actually batting for ContraPoints. I think that they were making a joke.
Lebanese border villages will be demolished following what he calls the model in Gaza. Finance Minister Smotrich has warned that Dayea, a suburb of South Beirut, will look like Khan's Yunis.
Oh no, wait, that person did just spam multiple times. Fuck your shit-ass criticism of ContraPoints.
A city in Gaza that Israel reduced to rubble. These are not threats. These are promises. And they are being carried out with American weapons paid for by American taxpayers. Let us
Wait, I didn't call her that. What are you talking about?
be clear. Given the horrific and illegal behavior of the Netanyahu government over the last 3 years, the American people have had enough. Support for Israel in this country has plummeted. According to a recent Pew poll, 80% of Democrats now have an unfavorable opinion of Israel, and 41% of Republicans share that view. Recent polling now indicates that 3/4 of Democrats and 2/3 of independents oppose the United States sending arms to Israel. And that is why today I will be forcing the Senate to vote on 2 joint resolutions of disapproval, the only formal mechanism Congress has to block an arms sale. The first would block the sale of over $150 million in 1,000-pound bombs. The second would block $295 million in bulldozers, the machinery used to demolish homes in the West Bank and Gaza and make a Palestinian state physically impossible.
But Bernie, I think that the Palestinian two-state is impossible. And by the way, someone who said that ContraPoints is a two-statist, is a two-statist. Yes, of course, the two-state is the problem. ContraPoints is a two-state solutionist who doesn't care that there is no Palestinian state and is fine Palestinians are treated as garbage in Israel. 100%. All of these people who purport to be amazing leftists who support this are like, yeah, I oppose apartheid. No, this is a new video of Bernie Sanders, no? April 15th, 2026. But yeah, all these people who say this, they oppose apartheid, but then come out to bat for the state of Israel. And they're like, well, you know, the online left criticizes it too much. Imagine how these people would be treated during apartheid South Africa. In fact, by the way, these people wouldn't have done this during apartheid South Africa because it was associated way more with being a Republican issue. But because all of their fucking democratic heroes have done it over and over again, they've turned it into some issue of you need to defend the, yeah, no, we've watched the Obama's speechwriter one, but, just they turn it into this issue of like, oh, I need to really, really, really support them because the Democrats do that.
In my view, the time is long overdue for the Senate and the House to have the courage to stand up to AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, which spent nearly 120...
Oh, but this is also the thing, by the way. This is kind of enough of this. This is also the fucking thing about, like, people like ContraPoints and all these people who criticize the online left, right? They're not even smart or interesting about how they do it. Because I think, like, you can make valid criticisms of what has gone on with the Palestine stuff. Like, major spreading of conspiracy theories, people treating Israel like it's the big other responsible for all fucking ills in the world, when obviously the American empire and capitalism play, well, the American empire is part of capitalism, but those things play way, way, way larger roles than specifically Israel. They're so much bigger than Israel, but that's not the criticism or the line these people go down. These people go down this line because they're upset because they just want the Democrats to win forever and ever, and that's what they want. I think that there's criticisms about, you know, like people getting their news on TikTok and it being, or not really their news, but their understanding of Palestine being shortened really into these simple videos and not engaging with things that are more than this. I think that that is really, really important. However, simultaneously, you know, not handling these criticisms in any interesting way. It's just going, I'm a Democrat. You've got to vote for the less Israel supporting party, because after the less Israel supporting party is gone, I don't really know. Like, it'll be fine, won't it? Because let's be real here. Biden laid the groundwork for what Trump is doing now. What the fuck do you think was going to happen in Gaza with Kamala Harris? What would have happened? I mean, it's a counterfactual, but we did see what Biden did in Gaza. Like, Biden would, let's be real here. Biden would have allowed this invasion of Lebanon. Biden probably would have participated in this bombing raid on Iran. That is a question to be asked, whether he would have done it, but I think it's plausible But I don't know if Kamala would. Who knows? She wasn't in power. They certainly would have laid the groundwork for this to happen in the future, though. I don't know if ContraPoint supports the Contra. The Contras, I think it's where she draws her name from, maybe? Something so obscene and disgusting being a simple phrase like that, implying disgusting thing like Pallywood. At first, I didn't even understand what it was supposed to mean. Wait, who used Pallywood? Destiny? Do you know where I first had... Oh, I heard Pallywood on Twitter. It's fucking insane. It is insane. It is genuinely insane. It doesn't surprise me, though. The depravity of Zionism knows no bounds. Biden would have at least painted the bombs in rainbows and glitter. Well, he did paint the bombs in rainbows and glitter, and we got a huge amount of articles from Axios telling us that there was a huge argument. That there is a huge argument between Biden and, Netanyahu, and that was what was going on. What is the solution for Palestine? A one-state solution. A one-state solution, and that's it. There is no other option but a one-state solution. By the way, sorry, just a little bit of... I have some important news to cover. But have any of you seen Mutahar has now apologized for suing or even being involved in the cease and desist with Noah Sampson? No. So someone asked him, what is this account? Howling for... Gaming for Hope. Did you sue Noah Sampson yet? No, and I have no plans to. Wasn't a smart move even cease and desisting him in retrospect. While I disagree with what he said about me, I think he has a clear right to say it. I don't want to also destroy him financially over a YouTube video. No red line if I get mine. Oh, 100%. That's what these people want. They want a return to normalcy. Yeah, I'm not surprised, by the way, that this is like a thing that because this, like, Mutahar at least has shown the common decency to, not just sue someone, because this is not about caring about free speech or bigotry. Literally, all this is about is just supporting Israel and being allowed to do it on the internet without criticism. And yeah, as always, W Elephantfish, great to see you. Guys, I am quickly gonna run to the bathroom, but you can have some music during the break.
انتفاضة 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 بالمولوتوف بالحجارة أصنع دولتي بالمولوتوف بالحجارة أصنع دولتي بالمولوتوف بالحجارة تزهو طفولتي بالمولوتوف بالحجارة تكبر قوتي تكبر قوتي تكبر قوتي بالمولوتوف بالحجارة أصنع ثورتي بالمولوتوف بالحجارة أصنع دولتي بالمولوتوف بالحجارة تزهو طفولتي بالمولوتوف بالحجارة تكبر قوتي تكبر قوتي تكبر قوتي
Jesus, you guys love this music. I feel like the Twitch chat is bigger into the dancing emotes, but yeah, The Israeli born today have nothing to do with the sins of their grandparents. What in terms of... hold on. What are you replying to? What? How do I do the thing where I pull up like what you're replying to? I'm the nodders emote. Nice. Disgusting, Noel. I'm sorry, what? As much as any of those people have friends. Mutahar watch... Oh, sorry, right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is with these, like, people who just enjoy watching lolly on their YouTube channels. They have completely to educate the Israeli population, which is brain... I'm confused. Anyway, right. Okay. Now, there has been, whilst I've been streaming, there has been something of an update to this. So, it seems that America is now leaning on, that America is genuinely leaning on the Israelis, is leaning on the Israelis for a ceasefire in Lebanon. And vis-a-vis Israelis and Palestinians, look, I am a supporter of a binational two-state, and I do think there has to be major re-education for Israelis. I think there is a huge problem with young Israelis when it comes to them being way too radical. And this is not a post-October the 7th thing. I think it has to be a case for, like, re-education. I do think the only questions around like people returning to where they're from are like foreign settlers who came, because this is a real thing, by the way, quite a lot of very extreme people who came to Palestine literally just to abuse Palestinians. Most of Meir Kahana's most problematic followers are literally just extremists, are literally just straight up extremists. Have you read Sharon Osbourne has endorsed Tommy Robinson after she hinted at running for Birmingham mayor? Oh yeah, I mean lots of... I think, like, look, to throw a bone to all of these people, and by the way, something that Hamas, by the way, would... I am pretty... well, unfortunately, most of the Hamas figures who would have done it are dead now. Most of the Hamas figures would have said, we'll stand trial for war crimes if you do it to the Israelis. I genuinely think that that's the case. Most of them would have done that. In fact, probably all of them would have done that, because the Israelis' war crimes just extend far beyond. Israelis just commit war crimes, say we're not going to investigate ourselves, and people pretend that they're fucking liberals. I thought Overzealots was here. I heard America blocking the straight themselves referred to as a guy who cuts off his own penis because nobody wants to sleep with him. I mean, yes, I think that is actually true. It would require a whole lot of people to completely deconstruct, and that's asking a lot. But I think it's the only hope. I genuinely think that that's the only hope, because a two-state solution doesn't work. And I'm sorry, this just cannot be supported, like this extremist settler project. Okay, so this is... well-informed sources are telling me a Pakistani army commander carried to Tehran news regarding success of efforts to secure a ceasefire in Lebanon. Iran is waiting to hear the Israeli announcement to take necessary actions. So, I mean, this is pretty interesting. It started emerging earlier today that this could potentially happen. Where's my stuff about this? Yeah, Al-Mayadeen reported this as well. A high-ranking Iranian political and security source told Al-Mayadeen, following up and exerting pressure from Iran, a ceasefire will be declared in Lebanon starting tonight. There's been no direct response to this claim from the Israelis. Yeah, I'm sure the problem is that Israel will just continue its bombardment campaign. That's what I think that the main issue is. I think that that's the main issue. And I just want to say, just quickly, the mention of, like, it's quite tough to believe that de-radicalization will work. At this point, I view like all of these stuff. These are long-term questions. And by the way, the one-state solution is not at all worked out. It will be debated for a very long time as to how it will actually work and be established. But the two-state solution is such a political impossibility, changed not only by the reality on the ground, but the extremity of every Israeli government and the unwillingness to even cede 22% of Palestinians' historic homeland to them. It's insane. It's insane. That will not happen. There is no Israeli left capable of doing that. And yeah, I know. Okay, so I think that the main questions vis-a-vis this ceasefire, and I do share all of your apprehensions. There may be able to be some kind of guarantee, but the problem is Hezbollah isn't going to disarm, and it won't even talk about disarming until Israel leaves southern Lebanon. That's the main issue. That is the major issue there. If the US conditions anything, Israel will be forced to stop. It's over. Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing. By the way, the US can do this. The US can do this. The US can stop Israel. They have stopped Israel historically. It's not impossible. Hezbollah should never disarm. I mean, obviously the UK government designates them a terror organization, but Hezbollah are an organization that pertains to clearly something that the Lebanese government is incapable of, which is standing up to Israel in any capacity. You know, something that the Lebanese government clearly is incapable of, almost totally. In fact, it is totally incapable of it. Tuesday solution. La Boo Marcus Ryan, thanks for the €2 over on YouTube. Thanks as always. Barbara Pitt Fund. What's a Barbara Pitt? Someone told me what that was, Marcus, you cheeky bastard. What was my Freudian slip there? A two-state solution is functionally what is going on right now. One state is civilian and the other state is under military law based on ethnic lines. At the same time, the civilian state is committing land grabs, murder, and genocide on parts of the population. It is a full-blown exterminationist project, expansionist, belligerent, fascist entity, horrific. Yeah, I mean, I totally do not disagree. I totally do not disagree with you in your diagnosis of what is going on in Palestine. You are correct. Although, like, I think the only thing that one might say that the Palestinians do not have a state is that, apart from in Gaza, they were unable to access any political autonomy, but also they're unable to access any political autonomy. They were unable to access control over, like, their resources. It's like when people tell you that Gaza could have been something different. When I had a debate with Lonabox, we talked about this, and it's just like, how do you expect a country that barely has enough resources to support itself and was noted by the UN to be unable to support itself many, many, many fucking years ago? Like, the UN wrote this report that dates back to, I think, 1955. I think the guy's name is James Bakar, and he's like, it is pretty unclear whether Gaza will ever be able to support even its own population cut off from the rest of the world. I mean, it is probably one of the worst Hasbara talking points. I just think maybe Jaeger, I would say that the thing is like, can we even call them states when they have no political autonomy? Like, the Palestinian Authority have just denounced armed struggle. They control all guns. They do nothing to respond to Israelis. Did you see the long Trittaparsi analysis tweet? It was a bit controversial. He got a bit of pushback. I love burgers! Thank you for the gifted sub. And Kieran, enjoy your gifted sub. Thanks for it. Enjoy your new emotes. Guys, Gaza could have been full of strip clubs, but chose terror. Yeah, as well, how people frame... I mean, like, people in Iran quibbling with how their government spends their money is very similar to how Americans feel about how their government spends their money. But yet the way it's framed is just like, this is the most evil thing ever. This is the most evil thing ever. That the Iranians and Hamas, they spend their money on not looking after their civilians and turning themselves into Singapore. Obviously, Singapore is the way it is because of its interaction with the colonial powers. Like, Gaza could not have been that because of its interaction with colonial powers, or rather, its adversary's interaction with the colonial powers, which is Israel. Or the Zionist project, rather. What was the Trita Parsi long analysis on this? I haven't seen it. What does he do? What was he getting up to? Trita Parsi's alright. I love burgers! The Ulf, thank you for the subscription using Prime. Thank you for supporting the channel, as always. Gaza could have been Singapore for real, yeah. Gaza could have been Singapore if it transported to a different part of the world and did not have fucking Israel as its neighbor, I think. I think that would be kind of the way that it would not have, that it would have become Singapore. It remains to be seen whether they'll manage that. Yeah, welcome the Ulf. Thanks for becoming a member. Christopher Kunzler is my goat. Well, thank you. Thank you for that very nice message. Wait. What was I going to say? The Lebanon stuff. Oh, yeah. So apparently the Israelis have not responded to this at all. And Israeli cabinet is set to meet tonight. But yeah, Al-Mayadeen reports, citing an Iranian source, the thing we just read. But a senior Israeli official is denying this and says no ceasefire decision has been reached at all. Israeli cabinet is going to convene tonight. Keep forgetting to distribute my Prime. So remember, everyone, your Prime membership comes with a free Twitch. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for using it to support the channel. Thank you for commenting and just watching. It's greatly appreciated as well. Bad Empanada ex Chris Kunstler. I don't know if Bad Empanada would want to cross over. I don't know if that would be something he'd be interested in. Remains to be seen. I don't know. Maybe one day. Israeli generals see them cope. Well, the only way that this happens is... I don't even know. By the way, for any, like, forward-thinking pro-Israel person, they should instantaneously be sitting here and going, Israel's invasion of Lebanon is insane, it is wrong, it is immoral, and it is unacceptable, and it does not serve Israel. But it's so funny how so many pro-Israel people are literally just deep down bloodthirsty morons like Ethan Klein, who for some reason continually purports to be pro-Palestine leftist who doesn't love everything that Israel does, and yet simultaneously spends his time... Oh, shit. And yet simultaneously spends his time defending what Israel does. Sorry, I just need to log back into YouTube. Sorry about that. 1 second. Yeah, because obviously Israel right now has a Lebanese government willing to do exactly what Israel would want of them. And yet that's not good enough for Israel. Gaza is the most expensive real estate in the world. Perfect climate, perfect beaches, gas offshore, fertile land. Right, like this whole thing, I mean, that's a key point. How could Gaza have been like Singapore when a foreign power looked at their oil field and said, no, you can't have that? Why? Well, you'll use it to fund terror. What's Israel using anything of its... Israel's economy is just built around terror. They're not even using their economy to fund terror. Their economy just is terror. It is horrors beyond human comprehension. Just cooking up like some... Today we made the Find Baby AI, which seeks out young Hamas members who have recently had a child, and we kill them. And that's like Israel. Big fan of no politic here. Nice. Perfect beaches, gas offshore, fertile land, beautiful people, ancient culture, one of the oldest human cities left on Earth. It could be paradise, and the capitalists in DC will never let it go until they build resorts for timeshare scams. I mean, yeah, I think as well. Something really significant about this is like. I think something really significant is the meeting point between Asia and Africa. You know, that's also something so significant about it. They do have very good innovations in agriculture and cybersecurity. Nope. The innovations in agriculture they used to grow bombs to blow up Palestinians, and cybersecurity is used to defend themselves from the most moral hackers in the world over in Iran who show us images of Herzi Halevi having fun. But no, Israel's economy is set up heavily around war. Do you think it would be offensive to compare AB to Reek from Game of Thrones? Sorry, that probably is a bit rude. I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't be surprised if AI child finding thing is. Yeah. Yeah. Israel is concentrating people on the less fertile part. I think forensic architecture made a map showing it. Probably. Forensic architecture does really good work. Forensic architecture is run by an Israeli guy called Eyal Weitzman, who's very interesting. He talks about how, like, Israel is... they also talk about how... they also talk about, like, how Israel... sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, apparently, I thought drip irrigation was older, but Israel had some innovations in it. Reek escaped his psychological prison. Bad Empanada is usually right, but he does feel like he is self-righteous. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the thing that I was more interested, because I do view all these people who are like, you know, I view these kind of like ContraPoints leftists who spend their time whining about tankies, or like, once again, in the conversation with Lonabox, where I was like, you know that our mainstream media is constantly telling us about how good Israel is, about like justifying it and how inappropriate and terrible its reporting is. Why would you spend your time going after people online who are criticizing Israel? You know? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why you would go online and you would spend your time just, like being like, the problem is the pro-Palestine left. They have caused so much trouble. It's like, yeah, I've seen quite a bit of suffering over the last few years. Was that in Palestine? Did the pro-Palestine left hold major power at any point? Is that really what we're claiming has caused the issues in the world? I don't know. By the way, the other thing that I am trying to understand is whether the Strait of Hormuz is open or not.
Coming up next month with President Xi. I want to get your take on China and how this shift in oil, particularly because of Iran, particularly because of Venezuela and what you've done, even your comments on Cuba. How does that change the dynamic of this meeting with President Xi?
I don't think it does. I mean, he's somebody that needs oil. We don't. He's somebody I get along with very well.
You've got a major meeting coming up next month with President Xi.
Yeah, incredible things are happening over there. Listen to this, though.
Europe is now drafting. Did you see Europe is now drafting a program and plan to open up the Hormuz Strait without the United States?
It's so sad. We're doing it now. By the way, it's opening. The ships are coming back and forth. Oh, without the United States. It just shows you, how can you have a country, how can you have a group of countries with that attitude? Look at Greenland. We should have Greenland to protect the world against Russia and China. The mention of it, all of a sudden they get, this country should not be paying trillions of dollars.
I don't really understand Trump's rhetoric as well, of basically, we need to have some kind of relationship. We need to protect Russia and... We need protection from Russia and China, who I'm also simultaneously best friends with, who deeply respect me.
To NATO.
Did you see...
What is Trita Parsi's analysis? Sorry, I can't find the tweet you're talking about. Oh, my mouth is itchy. Yeah, he sounds a little sick. I don't know what's wrong with him. They're acting like it's a loss that the US is the only one being blocked out of the strait. Like, bro, all we had to do was not be fucking warmongers. I know. And also, by the way, so much of the reporting on China is just like out there dog shit. China has like basically, if you're talking about a place that has like unlimited fucking dollars to spend on something, that's China. Chinese government bonds are doing the best out of everyone else's. They're becoming like more of a safe haven. Whereas every other bond has gone badly since this. And China just has huge strategic oil reserves to absorb things. I found this Trita Parsi tweet. And this, like, sure, they don't want this going on forever. They prefer stability in the world. They're not as insane as the fucking US government. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's like just all of this analysis about China having such a troubled time is just... Okay, so this is what Trita Parsi is saying. Diplomacy between Washington and Tehran has not yet unraveled, despite J.D. Vance's theatrical departure from last week's talks in Islamabad. Trump now signals that the two sides could reconvene within days in the Pakistani capital. Whether negotiators return to the table or continue their exchange through quieter, remote channels before the ceasefire lapses, one reality appears to have shifted. Trump has clawed back a measure of momentum, and with it leverage, over Iran, largely by virtue of a ceasefire. Here's why. So Parsi's argument is that the US has clawed leverage over Iran through the ceasefire. Okay, interesting. Trump entered this moment politically cornered and strategically constrained. Surging gasoline prices were inflicting acute domestic pain, eroding his standing at home. More critically, he faced a barren escalation ladder. Robert Pape's comment. Each conceivable move strikes on Iran's oil infrastructure, on civilian targets, the seizure of the Persian Gulf Islands, or covert operations to capture enriched uranium, carried the near certainty of forceful Iranian retaliation. Such responses would not merely match his escalation, but compound it, deepening his economic exposures, amplifying political risk, and entangling him further in a perilous and unwinding strategic bind. Now, one thing I will say, oh my god, this is incredibly long. One of the things I will say already here, yeah, exactly. The countries that are at risk in Asia are just, by the way, the US's larger allies, like allies of the American empire. South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and Australia, like closer than they are to China. And China won't sell these places oil now. So these places are getting fucked. There's a huge armada, by the way, headed to Australia from the US because of how bad the fuel situation is. And whatever they tell you about how the US has oil, how do you think that the US is going to replace the Strait of Hormuz? The Strait of Hormuz is such an important place because of its fucking geographical location. And like morons on Twitter are telling you, China's actually done here. China has no chance. By the way, we have 2,023 followers on Twitch now. We are now approaching the year in the number of followers, and soon we will supersede the year. And we nearly have 46,000 followers up on YouTube. We are going global in 2026. Okay, right. Nor could he simply extricate the US from the conflict on his own terms. Absent an understanding with Tehran, Iran retained both the capacity and incentive to continue targeting Israel and vulnerable US assets across the Gulf. Trump needed Iran's permission to get out of the war. The ceasefire, however, has subtly altered that equation. Trump may no longer need a formal nod from Tehran to step back. If he disengages now without a comprehensive agreement, Iran will almost certainly maintain its grip over the Strait of Hormuz, a strategic setback for Washington. Yet Tehran is unlikely to resume direct military operations against US targets in the Persian Gulf. To do so in the absence of renewed American strikes would cast Iran as the aggressor, inviting severe and potentially coordinated repercussions, not only from Washington, but from wary global powers such as Russia and China. I mean, interesting. Definitely interesting. Do you know that there was a really good article today about how Iran bought a Chinese satellite to use in the air that this Chinese satellite, it was in the Financial Times, gives them like perfect vision from like, I think it's 0.5 meters kind of vision of it. It's incredible. What, Trita Parsi? What, who says weird ass shit? Moreover, the balance of needs. I have a gift link. Is it allowed to be linked here? I don't know, Hexo. People link them on Twitch, so maybe. I'm not actually 100% sure. Anyway, moreover, the balance of needs has tilted. Iran now appears to need an agreement more than the US does. Trump has already secured his central objective, the escape from a war he was ill-advised to begin, while Iran, despite accruing leverage through its command of the Strait, remains far from realizing its broader ambitions. Meaningful sanctions relief, a definitive and enduring end to hostilities, and perhaps even the contours of a more stable, constructive relationship with Washington. I mean, I don't know if I'll keep reading all of this. One thing I will say about what he's trying to say here is...
Yippee!
Yeah. Jaeger Larson, thank you so much for the gifted, and Sweet Agony, enjoy your gifted sub. W's in the chat. I will add your emotes up in there soon. Don't worry. One thing I will say is, like, Trump does not have the nuclear material, which was the justification of his war, and this is going to haunt him massively. This will continue to haunt Donald Trump not having this, and also traffic in the Strait of Hormuz not resuming to the normal point, and also the way in which America has been made to look like an unstable ally. And I will also cite this. Despite all those beautiful ceasefire headlines, the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has not changed one bit. Okay, I'm going to tell you something here. Don't trust all analysis you're seeing on Twitter that goes either way about all of this. Trita Parsi makes a major mistake here, because prices are going to continue to be high, and if this is left without a definitive agreement, it will continue said problems for one major reason, which is shipping is going to be incredibly high in the Gulf because insurance is going to be higher. Insurance doesn't return. Insurance will already be very expensive. I'm afraid Trump is going to take out his frustrations on Cuba. La boo-boo. I love the joy these notifications bring you. Hell for Michelle, thank you for the €2 gifted. Well, it's just more excited than hearing, it's just way more exciting than hearing, you know, this is utterly ridiculous over and over again. But I still like it. I still enjoy that one. He's going to lash out at Cuba and Nigeria. I mean, potentially, but the thing with Cuba is what can he do? Because they can't do a ground invasion. I doubt Cuba will do a thing where they basically just, I don't know, give up. Where they basically just give up, you know, just give up leadership. Because who would they give up? What, Castro? Because that's who the US claims is controlling America. Controlling Cuba. But yeah, just have a look at this. Despite all those beautiful ceasefire headlines, the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz hasn't changed one bit. Meanwhile, clickbaits are obsessing over some random single tanker and totally misleading everyone. So there's also a question, by the way, for how long this goes on, and until shit can get swiftly out of the Strait of Hormuz, there is a huge amount of just oil filling up and up and up and up and up, and you can't switch off an oil field. Oil fields are basically just big fucking pressure cookers, and when you turn them off, it can cause major damage to the infrastructure. And I don't know. I don't know if they could put boots on the ground in Cuba in the same way. I don't know. I'm not so sure. I think Cuba probably, the Cuban Revolution probably has more legitimacy than Maduro did. Like in terms of Maduro's support in the country. I don't actually know. I thought you were making a racist joke, but I don't think you are. But it's Nigerian, yeah. Sorry, the late attendance. I just came home from the mosque. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to look at the thing you sent me as well. I've been really busy. Was this the link? It just shows up as asterisks. That sucks. And then what? I don't see that being a thing. Well, they put boots on the ground in the US. Didn't Qatar shut off its gas fields? I heard it would take multiple months to ramp up production. So Qatar shut off its liquefied natural gas production. It shut down multiple of them. I don't know if a gas field is exactly the same. I know that when you're extracting oil, it is that way, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is. The thing is also, no one really knows what happens when you fill up an oil field and its reserves entirely and just have it at maximum capacity. And this could end up being the case. Iran has like 15 days left at current production before it's full. Iran has 16 days of its current output, which is about 1.6 or 1.8 million barrels per day, until it reaches 92 million barrels stored, the same level it reached in the 2020 pandemic. So they're going to have to push things down. And it says half of Iran's 3.6 million barrels of oil is consumed domestically. And this could cost Iran heavily the blockade. But the other problem is, by the way, Iran still has a major amount of escalations. This blockade is undeniably an act of war, so it's really, really interesting what we're going to see happen next and what could come next. But yeah, require any of this. The US can endure without a formal agreement with Iran and without the benefits of an economic relationship with Tehran. To be sure, a negotiated settlement would be better to serve long-term American interests. The nuclear constraints Trump seeks can only credibly be secured at the negotiating table. Abruptly abandoning diplomacy while leaving Iran in undisputed control of the strait would also unsettle key regional allies. Yet these are strategic preferences, not immediate necessities. Trump's calculus is far more transactional and less patient. He can point to the damage already inflicted on Iran's nuclear infrastructure and conventional forces, proclaim a horror-low victory, and then disengage. He has already emphasized that the US no longer depends on the Persian Gulf oil, insulating it from direct economic consequences. But already a major consequences here, by the way. This is already a major consequence of the US position just being harmed in the world, basically. Right? The US's position is categorically harmed in the world. The US's position is just worse as a result of the way that it's been behaving. I guess we're going to find out. Yeah, I think this is always the fun thing. We will find out over the coming days. I find it useful to think of that 20% of the world's oil supply, with the US producing and consuming 50% of all oil, as in fact 40% of all tradable oil. And I think the US only consumes 20% of the world's oil supply, I think. Because there's what, like, how many barrels a day are consumed? The US consumes about 20 million barrels of oil per day. They produce 13 million barrels of oil. But you're right, add in things like all the fertilizer, helium. Helium's the big one because helium can't be stored. Helium can't be stored. That's just not really a thing. By the way, the Twitch viewers have stayed really consistent. I'm surprised. I thought it would be raid and then dip. If any of you are first-time viewers, are you guys enjoying? Do you think you enjoy the Twitch stream? Because I worry that sometimes I'm a shit streamer. But I'm glad that you're there. We're up to nearly 500 viewers across the two platforms, which is crazy. Crazy. Yeah, I think it's 1/5 of the Earth's oil usage. Nice, we've hit 20-30 followers. That's quality. Yeah, I know. What is the US even using all of that oil for? Just big gas-guzzling cars and just flying and flights? You deserve way more, King. I think the main thing about streaming is it's about long-term consistency. That's basically all this relies on, is long-term consistency. Saeed, good to see you, man, and I'm glad you enjoy it more. You're only a shit streamer. Very funny. Very funny. Cheeky there from FitTT. We're always our own most ruthless critic. But I guess it's because there's like this trajectory from streaming, which is like I kind of worry that, you know, you stagnate. But then again, I guess it's like when you think about when you first start streaming, it's so hard to break out of that the small amount of viewers you have. Yeah, I know, the motherfucker Hassan never does stop streaming. But Hassan saw that traumatic moment with where he was kind of watching Clavicular, who was talking about streaming all the time, and was like, oh, this is cooked, and then he realized that's just like him. You unknown entity, good to see you show up on Twitch. I have mostly seen you as background analysis in Hassan streams. Yeah, I need to be honest, I realized that I need to like be this is like, you know, I need to be fucking doing everything. Instead of doing TikTok streams, I need to make TikTok videos. Because also TikTok just started paying money again. So I need to accrue so much financial wealth that I can build the supercomputer. Who would have thought that a British boy yelling at his screen about Ethan Klein supporting genocide would be an engaging streamer? Yeah, I know, surprising. That all started with the reaction to the Hassan debate. That is the most views I've ever had. I hit 4K views on that, almost. The US military burns more than 100 the US military must burn an insane amount, especially right now. Like, all of that fuel you're using to fly planes is insane. And yes, I need... The only condition to keep the Twitch streams going, I mean, a few days ago I said, would it be worth streaming on Twitch? And we're pretty consistently over 50, 60 viewers, so I think that that's pretty fucking good. I have to make £27 to secure the Twitch. I think it will actually reduce to £15, but yeah. The Americans have not experienced normal petrol bills yet for a single filled tank yet. They still pay for half of what pre-war pricing is even now. They still pay half of what pre-war pricing is even now. Really? Is that the case? Also, streaming brought you and Isaac together, and now he's one of your best friends. I don't like Isaac, Emily Mackenzie. I don't like Isaac. He's sick towards me. I mean, I think this is the thing. Are the global consequences of Trump's war going to outweigh the potential of him scoring this victory of an unnegotiated settlement? And I'm of the opinion, no. 5% of fuel went to Taylor's. That can't be true that 5% went to Taylor's jets. Also, by the way, quick question. Should I try and bring back guests on the Twitch stream? Would that be something that people would be interested in? Best friend is a funny way of saying wife.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Well, if your wife is your best friend, then you never feel like you've spent a day married. I wouldn't get a dog. I'm much more likely to get a cat. Who would be someone that you guys know that I'm friends with to have on, like someone that I know? Also, Sar Bizarre, enjoy the gifted membership from Anonymous. That is a W gifter in the chat. You are helping us reach I'm going to have to set, every month, I'm going to have to set my £27 goal for Streamlabs. Because I don't think you guys realise, trying to multi-stream with this internet is oof. Oof. Riverwand. Second and third best friends are my dogs. Dog supremacy. Nice. Noah Sampson. I feel like Noah's probably got a bit of stuff going on right now, so maybe not. James from Havana. I could have James Ray on, by the way. Who's James from Havana? I have never had James Ray on my stream. That'd be fun. Anthony. Yeah, Anthony would be a great person to have on. You're a cat person. I always grew up with dogs, but my friend from university had a cat, and I loved it. His cat's called Cisco. His cat is goated. Is this really big ragdoll that is the most friendly cat I've ever met. Take a QB. FD signifier cultural exchange. What would be the culture that I would impart onto FD signifier? What would be my culture offered? like, I don't know. I don't know if Isaac would be a good guest. You guys watch me and Isaac yap all the time. I don't know if you guys would like that. Debate Adam Mockler. No. Oh God, he's still talking. EMC UAE EY. Do you not understand how my life I meant to pay for this having bad internet? I paid £27. Do you know how much that is? Do you know how many labubus one could buy with that? Probably one. I don't know. I part of me wonders like where the best place to be is, because there ain't no way I'm going to America to stream. That's not happening. Like Canada, I love Montreal. Probably would love to spend a lot of time there. I think it's fantastic. London is probably the best option. Do an IRL stream. Go bar hopping. I don't know if I'd ever do an IRL stream, and I don't know if I'd want to be drunk on stream. Montreal is a goated city. China. I feel like China might be an interesting place to live. But I don't know. I think in China, have you seen the video of the kids who were like asking the guy if Chinese kids ask about Chinese kids Epstein? The Chinese kids who ask about Epstein. This is goated. Sorry.
他们说美国人是人吗？
对。他手里面有。
不是，不对的，不对的。
This
is really funny. They're asking me if I they're asking me if I eat people. So in America, we have the stereotype that Chinese people eat dogs, cats, whatever. Apparently over here, they are teaching them that Americans eat people. 我们像你们一样，我们吃一样的东西。
阿姨死婆不是吃人的吗？小孩肉。阿姨那里。
What is Epstein's? How do you say Epstein in Chinese?
Okay, 可能阿姨死婆。
你去广东少人。
你们那里吃那个萝莉刀。Oh my god.
你们那里吃不吃？
This is the funniest kids in China.
How do you think that spreads? How do you think that this kind of stuff spreads? Like in China, where do you think these kids have got that from? Do you think their parents tell them like scary stories about, I don't know, Jeffrey Epstein eating people? Oh, I love burgers. Kanya, thank you so much. Great to see you as always. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. Incredibly kind. Incredibly kind, and thank you so much for supporting the channel as always, and great to see you. W gifties. Chinese social media. Those kids look a little too young to be on social media. Yeah, they are base children. Although I don't think Epstein ate people. I think he did many things, but I'm not sure he ate people. But yeah, W gifties. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted as always. W's to the YouTube chat. If you don't clean your room, you're going to America to be eaten. I think it's plausible. I think that's plausible.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Soros funds came in. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, this is a George Soros funded stream. We have to do a salute to George Soros at the start of every stream. We had stories growing up about how the local British landlord from 100 years ago would send his dogs to eat you if you said bad words. Where did you have those stories? In the UK? Oh, no, China also love those short videos, don't they? There are, like, whole studios that produce, like, really short, like, films that are, like, vertical, really short films. Yes, we probably are able to show the no politic edit. Hold on, we'll do that now. Hold on. So, one of my wonderful moderators, Sophie, has made a video that she would all like you that she would like.
Want to know what I would do with a lot of Patreon money? The first thing I would do to amp up the setup, I would get. Do you want to know what I would?
Hold on. I will show you.
Do you want to know what I would do with a lot of Patreon money? The first thing I would do to amp up the setup, I would get big, huge, fake boobs like Christy Noam's husband, and then everybody would watch the show.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
I'm gonna start injecting synthol into my arms. You know what that is? That's like when you know people have those biceps that are like they just don't look natural. It's like it's called synthol.
Like a potato.
Yeah. But I'm gonna come to the next show with like full-on synthol injections. What's the wrong version? What's wrong about the version? I apologize for playing the incorrect version.
Do you want to know what I would do with a lot?
I'm gonna have those look incredible once you. What's the difference? Has it just got subtitles? What are the pictures as well? So the pictures you wanted me to show is this in particular. You wanted me to show this image. This is Chris. This is your third helping. I love strawberry pasta. I don't like this image. I don't like this image at all. By the way, if you're wondering where this is occurring, where people are sending me images of myself eating strawberries and pasta, something that would never happen, it's over on the Chris Kunzler Discord. And also, this is the other beautiful image. This is me, or this is what I wish I looked like. This is what it would be like if I had never discovered sugar or hadn't eaten Nutella sandwiches when I was a child all the time. And this is Isaac with what he actually looks like. Isaac uses a face cam and AI. He has ridiculously large breasts. So this was made by Ray. We're gonna just say Ray because I always feel like I'm getting it wrong. Because I want to say Raymelia, but it's Ray. So that was made by Ray, and Isaac made this, and Sophie made the other. It's weirdly sexual. That's what the podcast is. You skip leg day. I skipped leg day for a very long time. There's nothing inappropriate about that. I, in many ways, am one of the wokest gents in the UK. So, yeah. The pledge was unhinged. If you sat down, there's a good chance your teacher would say, soldiers are dying in Iraq for your right to say the pledge. I mean, and you know what? I'm going to come out and say this. That's not that insane. Britain has, like, living in the UK, you kind of just see, like, a cult of memory that has increasingly become who has the biggest poppy in their house. That as if all of those young men who went and died in a conflict of incredibly rich people and rich and powerful men, it's somehow like, I don't know, it's somehow their memory that, or what they would want it to be is, you know, people just buying the biggest poppy imaginable, even though there was a ton of, like, wartime propaganda, propaganda that was anti-war. For example, one of the most famous poems, is it by Rupert Owen? I feel Dulce et Wilfred Owen. I said Rupert Owen. Dulce et decorum est. The Old Lie. This is the famous poem by Wilfred Owen, if you're not familiar with it. It's like a poem that's just about, like, young men dying. And it says, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. And by the way, funny thing about one of the other funny things that you may not know about the cult of memory, the only reason that British soldiers' bodies remain in foreign countries is because there was a decree by the king, by King George, that no British bodies would be brought back over to the UK. Also, this is what Trump is saying. I like Trump's way of tweeting. China is very happy that I am permanently opening the Strait of Hormuz. I am doing it for them, also, and the world. This situation will never happen again. They have agreed not to send weapons to Iran. President Xi will give me a big fat hug when I get there in a few weeks. I love burgers! We are working together smartly and very well. Doesn't that beat fighting? But remember, we are very good at fighting, if we have to. Far better than anyone else. By the way, I don't think it was propaganda. The Iranians bought a Chinese satellite that is allowing them to just surveil US military bases and blow the hell out of them. But fake_silver, thank you for becoming a member over on Twitch. Thank you for supporting the Twitch channel and making me reading tweets like this and watching amazing images possible. And I know Nutella sandwiches are gross. I would not eat a Nutella sandwich now. Yeah, I mean, poor Xi. Why is Xi gonna give him a big fat hug? It's also a very weird tweet. It's a very, very, very unusual tweet. Also, I'm very excited to know what he means by I am personally opening the Strait of Hormuz. Because I'd like to picture, you know, Donald Trump stood around like cutting a ribbon to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Sorry, Jesus Christ. Oh, we are not watching a trailer for this. I could probably... That is one thing I want to say. Maybe sometimes I should be like, right, today is a Twitch-only stream, so I can get away with doing things that you wouldn't be able to on YouTube. There's now a crime drama from the producers of Homeland that is about an Israeli soldier in some capacity. Heaven knows what this is about, but it sounds awful. Nutella crepes are really, really nice. I love, like, hazelnut spread chocolate crepes. Oof. Exactly. I thought Nutella was on the BDS list, but I'm not eating Nutella sandwiches at my age. Like, I eat enough sugar anyway. The thought of just, like, putting a sandwich filled with Nutella, even if it weren't BDS, is awful. Wait, is Nutella on BDS? Why is Nutella on BDS? Who's it owned by? Is it not a Unilever product? BDS. What does it fall under again? Sorry, the only person tweeting about this is fucking Colonel Richard Kemp. Jesus. He would love a ribbon cutting ceremony. 100%. 100%. Yeah, so I guess how I have to plan my days is like, okay, on Tuesday, it's going to be a YouTube only stream, so I can be slightly mean to a veteran. Not doing that Twitch, just a little joke. And then on Wednesday, I can go and stream on Twitch because I'm going to go and watch a copyrighted trailer that wouldn't get me as much trouble as it would on YouTube. Or it wouldn't give me as many problems and they wouldn't steal all my money from it. Yeah, BDS is probably much easier as a vegan. There are a lot of things that I miss McDonald's. I actually don't miss McDonald's. It's just at times where, like, the small town in which I grew up had a McDonald's and it's sometimes the only thing open late, apart from this heinous chicken place that the only times I've ever eaten from, I have been just violently ill. And I believe it is one of the most repugnant places in the world. It is a godforsaken place. All right, guys, and on that note of talking about godforsaken places, that is the end of today's stream. I thank you all for coming. I thank you for everyone who's donated, watched, all of the new Twitch viewers. If you enjoyed the stream, I'm live generally at this time, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., and we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Sometimes we have Thursdays, depending if the podcast recording gets messed up by Isaac, the, professional idiot guy. However, we will be live again over on here on Friday because I'm definitely streaming. We're then going to have a podcast episode, I think, on the NATO breakup, maybe some drama-related stuff, like some fun stuff as well, if we can pick out any. We'll also have a Patreon episode with Spooky Scary Socialist, talking about Hamas, I think. So I'm going to have to do some Hamas reading. But yeah, I thank you so much. There are also sometimes weekend streams. Now, if you're looking to find out when I stream, if you're interested, I will do, join the Discord, or you can just check out my YouTube channel. I use the community page. Just a quick question for Twitch viewers. I'm guessing some of you are bigger Twitch users. Is it worth putting a thing on there saying, like, basically, hey, I'm gonna do streaming this day. Like, is it worth doing that? Saying, hey, I'm like the schedule, is it worth it? Just let me know. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Have a lovely rest of the day, and see you soon. No stream tomorrow. Okay, cool. All right, thanks, guys.